What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the TrueShot Guest Spot podcast. As you see by the title of the podcast here, we got Tyler Small, one of two, I guess you would say, lead vocalists of the band Saving Vice. Now, Saving Vice is a band from Vermont. They're from, our neck of the woods, no pun intended, considering that there's trees everywhere here. But I really wanted to talk to Tyler. Saving Vice, for our local area is one of the bigger bands, and we were actually supposed to play with them prior to COVID hitting. That was going to be our first show ever playing with them. So this was really my first introduction to Tyler and talking to him, other than, Facebook comments and stuff like that, and, doing reactions to their music and whatnot. So it was really cool to sit here and talk with Tyler for well over 2 hours here, and I thought a lot of really cool stuff came out of this conversation. I hope you think so as well. So I'll be quiet, and let's get into the interview with Tyler Small.
Love the hate, the love, the lost is left me.
Tyler Small, how are you, sir?
I am
Mr. Goth Snape. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Ray. How are you?
I'm not doing bad,
Fuck, man.
So for anybody who is confused, number one, you probably know that I sound like Ray Romano at this point. I mean, I get it in our YouTube comments all the time. But Tyler here, who is one of the vocalists for Saving Vice, he was telling me that he gets comments that he looks like a goth Snape, which I love. I just
or Kylo Ren.
Or Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually it's funny because when you said it, because the way that your hair is, for those of you that are listening on audio, it comes down on the sides, and it's like that is such a Snape haircut. But I also
I used to, like a year or so ago, it was down to my shoulders and it was all black, so it was like I really looked like Kylo Ren or a high school Snape. It was a
high school Snape.
Yeah, so. I know. I was just like, I guess I'll just embrace it because a lot of people really he's definitely one of the better characters. So yeah. And Alan Rickman was the G. So.
Yeah, he passed away. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's a bummer.
Yeah. Oh man, I wonder. I've seen some rumors online about them kind of bringing back Harry Potter in some kind of way. I don't know. What do you know any of the late? Because I know that you're more of a Marvel guy, which we'll touch on that, of course. But
I read all the books when I was younger, but I never even read the last book. That was the one book that I saw the movie, but I never read the book because I'd kind of gotten out of the phase by then. And I really liked the books, and the movies are okay. I just felt like the movies never really lived up to the books, and I didn't really care. Yeah. So I was never into the fandom of Harry Potter. I just don't care about wizards with little wands. It's just not cool to me. It's just not my thing.
You don't want to play Quidditch?
I love This Is My Wizard.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah.
Oh my God.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Yeah.
And of course I got my bad girl. I got Scarlet Witch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my sorcery that I'm into right there.
Nice. No, that's funny because Harry Potter, when I was a kid, I had a friend who lived down the street from me, and I went to his house all the time because my house was not an enjoyable place to grow up in. So that was kind of like my getaway, so to speak. And during one summer, his mom kind of set us up like a summer camp kind of thing, but it was Harry Potter based. So we would wake up every morning and there was owls down in the basement with little scrolls for us to read for our tasks for the day.
Wait, this is someone's mom just did this for you?
Yeah, and it was
that's the coolest shit I've ever heard. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, and it was called I can't remember. It was there was Hogwarts Witchcraft and Wizardry, but it was something something in lizardry or something. But she renamed it, and it was a cool concept. We went to this field down the street and dueled each other, and the way that we got a point or hit our opponent was if we got a capital for a state correct. It was a good time. She was very creative.
Yeah, that's I feel like that's 10 out of 10 parenting right there.
Oh, she was awesome. She was she was able to, because there was like, she had like 3 of her own kids, and then there was like me and a couple other stragglers, and so she was able to like control like 7 kids at a time. I don't know how, but God bless her, you know.
Well, it's because it's when you can think like a kid, that kids respect you.
Exactly. That's so true. That is so true. So getting back to Saving Vice real quick, because obviously people here are probably aware that you're in Saving Vice if they're watching this, but if not, you are. So when so I'm kind of a little fuzzy on how you guys kind of came together, because you're technically not an original member, so to speak. Is that fair? Or
Yeah. I mean, technically no. I guess you could say from the point where we really kind of regrouped and rebranded and really launched it as like
a legit thing?
this thing that it's
Yeah.
become and snowballed into, what that I never imagined it would be, is like what it is now. So the Robbie started the band in college when he was going to St. Michael's College in up here, and I hadn't been in a band for a while. I'm not going to get into my past, as a whole other thing, like a whole other story, but I'm not gonna. But I was in another band before, and I'd given up on music for a while, so I was just kind of living in Vermont, just working a day job, not really. I wasn't doing really anything, and I knew I wanted to, but like Vermont was a tough place to break into, even when there was a scene, because like I was that like MySpace king dude everyone hated, and then like that kind of that one scene kid kind of thing, and then it was like
The goth Snape. Yeah.
yeah, right. So I mean, like I never really like, but when I came back around, there wasn't much left of like the metalcore scene or whatever it was. So it's like when I was growing up, it's like Motionless in White was playing here all the time, and they were local, like that kind of shit.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I knew Chris like way back when.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I've been following that band since they were playing the local stage at Warped Tour. Like, so they Vanna used to play here when they were small, like that kind of stuff. Like we had a huge local scene, but it was like towards that time where SV started, was kind of when metalcore and metal, and like everyone got too cool for it. It was when all the metal bands were trying to go radio and trying to be cleaner, and like everyone who all day now on MySpace just talks about how much like, oh man, I just miss Stand Up and Scream. Like they were the same people who were just talking about how shitty and lame breakdowns were 5 years ago. Like it's like everyone misses it now, but everyone was way too good for it for like 3 or 4 years. So it was like, because it was oversaturated, and it was during that whole phase, and I wasn't even listening to metalcore anymore. I was like burnt out. I was listening to like the 1975 and like Hands Like Houses. That was like
Oh wow.
the shit.
Okay.
But it was kind of also those things where like I wanted so badly to be in a band still that I didn't even like going to shows anymore, because it was just like watching someone eat in front of you and you were hungry. It just sucked. I hated it. Like, and so I didn't. And it wasn't a day I drove to work not just singing along in the car, wishing I was still doing it. But it was like there's no one to start a band with. There was nothing going on. There was like. And I was like, do I even want to do that anymore? Like, because when I look at it, like from where I was, there wasn't really like, it wasn't like there were shows going on all the time. It's not like I was down the street from the Palladium or like Bungalow. Like it was 4 hours in any direction to see like the kind of shit that I wanted to see. So it was like I'd kind of given up. And this bit Robbie hit me up. I don't remember how it really happened, but like I think Robbie or somehow they hit me up to like model merch for their first t-shirt when they first printed their first t-shirt back when they were like a garage band. And like I ended up kind of just chatting with Robbie about like all the shit that I had done, and I was like, yeah man, like, and I just wanted to be involved with music somehow. And I was like, well, I learned a lot from like watching like Motionless and Ask Alexander. I've seen all these bands go from nothing. I know what the branding works, I know how the marketing works, I know how all that shit works. And like obviously, because it's like all of that in our band is mostly me, like all of that, like
the aesthetic,
how we appear, how we present ourselves to the world is like what I do for the band. So it's like, and I wanted to like help them, because it gave me a chance to feel like I was kind of being a part of the scene, and that's what I wanted to do, was like, like this is a new band, they're trying to do like old school metalcore, like risecore for fun, like whatever. And I was like, that's cool. Like I think people miss that shit whether they want to admit it or not, which they totally do, obviously. And so, and I just ended up meeting up with them to kind of just talk to them about like stuff. And I didn't really I don't even know what I wanted. I think I just wanted to like be involved somehow.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care to what that was. And it ultimately ended to like fast forwarding through a bunch of trying to condense this because it's a really long story.
Oh no, man.
Is like,
go ahead.
you know, fast forward, I ultimately ended up getting like so there was Chase, Robbie, and then we used to have like dude, it's like I'm not gonna go through every old member, but you know, this was like before Cody. This was like it was like Zach was in the band, Robbie was in the band. We had like our first drummer Evan was there, and this this kid Drew who used to be in the band, and it was like they had this other singer who's not worth naming, and they kicked him out, and then they asked me to join, and I was like, nah, like I don't want to do this anymore. Like I don't have it. I don't even think I have it in me. Like I have a life now in a stable apartment. I don't want to go back to trying to do the whole van thing. Like, but I think I was lying to myself because I just wanted to play shows. You know, I just wanted to like I have lyrics I've written for 5 years. I just want to put the lyrics somewhere and I want to hold a microphone. That's all I really wanted. So I was like, you know what? I'll play with you. Like I'll play with you for the summer. And then you guys can, if you find someone else, just kick me out. It's fine. Like that was pretty much what it was.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I was like, I don't give a fuck. So, and so, you know, we did this first little junky EP and then we just started playing some local shows. And, you know, it was like, we played to like 3 people at a bar in some place in Maine. And we played, and then we played like Bungalow with all these deathcore bands and hardcore bands. We're the only band with singing. But we just like, played like we were playing to 5,000 people, like every show. That was like our thing. And that was kind of how we got known. And, you know, so we played like 4 shows, I think, maybe 5 shows in 2017, playing this like, you know, this $300 EP we recorded in some dude's bedroom. And then we got on a show at Higher Ground, which is like the big venue here, opening for Devil Wears Prada. And that was like the day where it was like, that was like the day when we were like, we really geeked out for the first time. It was like this, and that was when I was like, man, like this is the venue I've like grew up going to. This is the venue I've been wanting to play my whole life, and like I'm actually playing it. Like this might actually be a thing. And of course, it was crazy. I mean, and this is like humble braggy sounding, but like we outsold Prada in merch.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and we actually gave their tour manager money because we felt bad for them like, yeah, like so it's like that was like that happened, and it was crazy, and it was it was really fun. I mean, this is back when like we had no click tracks, nothing. We had this shitty drum pad that Zach had programmed the like 3 backtracks into each pad, so like Evan just had to remember where they were supposed to be and hit the pad during the set, but he would just like. It sucked because he would just get bored and start speeding the songs up randomly. So we were like, all of a sudden I'd be like, why am I running out of breath? Because he's playing the song too fast. And like the whole band would be trying to keep up. Or he would be like, he would just start being like, you know what? Bass drops would sound sick everywhere. So he'd just be hitting the pad like all the time when it wasn't supposed to. And then so that was like the old days. And it was just like we were always getting drunk and like playing drunk and drinking. Like it was just like, we didn't give a fuck because there was nothing, you know what I mean? That was like those days. And then we ended up later that summer or that fall, we got a gig opening for Convictions at in Albany, which is our first time I think playing. No, we played in like Plattsburgh, New York, but it was our first time playing kind of deeper into New York. And Ashley, who is now our manager, was the promoter who booked us at that show.
Oh.
And so, and that was a really weird show because it was like Convictions was still, you know, they're starting to finally pop off now, but it was weird. They were like, we thought they were so big, but I remember when we got there and there was like not really many people showed up to the show. And like, we thought it was going to be this, we actually brought more people from out of state than Convictions brought to the show locally.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And that was kind of what, and so like our performance, we always kind of like, you know, put out, and I remember Sleeping with Sirens was there on an off date and watched the set. And that was super stressful. It was just this weird day. And then I guess we were leaving, and then Zach was like, oh, the promoter wants to talk to us. She wants to manage us. She's like, just thinks that we're really dope and that, like, you know, she wants to work with us. And then that was how we met Ashley. And that's how we got that whole thing started. So then, like, that month, we ended up meeting up with her, decided we were going to work with her. And we were like, okay, it's time to, like, take this seriously. Like, she's like, I really think you guys have potential. You have, like, all of it. You have the show, like, the performance. Like, it's all there. I didn't know it, right? So I want to do this. So we deleted everything off, all the music, everything. We kept like some pieces of some songs. The only song, funny because it's like our most well-known, biggest song. The only song we actually kept and just rewrote slightly was Hell Here.
Oh, okay.
So and it was it had a different name at the time, but it was so that song is the only song that like aside from the chorus and a few lyrics, is actually a song that we have had since like 2016, which is really funny. Yeah. So that song was written like years and years ago. And so we wrote Exhale. We went and recorded that with Shane Frisbee. And then we shot our first music video for that, which is like kind of silly to me now to look at. But I really like that song. The band hates it, but I do, because it was like a really emotional song for me. And like, it's totally like that teardrops, Bring Me the Horizon, but kind of post-hardcore. And I remember at the time, we didn't really know what we wanted to sound like, but we wanted to try something a little more like Plotting You, Feel Nothing-y, a little more like with a catchy chord, like something catchy to really grab people for our first song that really we put out there, you know? So we released that while we were in the studio recording Colder Than Dark. Because actually how we ended up meeting Randy Pascarella from If I Were You was actually, we hit him up to write backtracks for Exhale. And then he was like, oh, I actually record bands, blah, blah, blah. I'm in If I Were You. And we were like, oh, sweet, we'll just come record our EP with you. And that was how that all started. So that was where I think like Devil Wears Prada was where we started using the term SV magic, because all this ridiculous shit just started happening all the time. We just stumbled on this manager. We just stumbled on Prada. We just stumbled on Randy. And then we released Exhale. And then Kevin Lyman saw the video and put us on Warped Tour for the last Warped Tour for our first single we dropped. And then we got on Warped Tour. And it was like SV magic. That's what we would just call it. Like everyone else was like, oh, what if there's any more magic in the tank? And it was just weird. And so we dropped Hell Here, which was the first single. Wait, you know what? That's not true. I think we dropped Euthanasia before the EP came out. Euthanasia was the first song off Colder Than Dark. We like dropped.
Is that the song with Rory?
Yeah, it has Rory from Dayseeker. Yeah, and that was back when Dayseeker was about to kind of blow up, but hadn't really blown up yet.
Right.
And so that did really good. Like, it was really cool. You know, it got us kind of some traction. We started getting some other shows booked. You know, we already had Warped Tour booked, because I remember Sammy joined the band. Like, we were kind of like, because we lost Evan, left the band during the recording. And so Sammy kind of we recruited Sammy. Like, we're like, hey, you want to play Warped Tour? You should join our band. Like, that was kind of how it started.
Well, yeah, what a way to get somebody on board.
Yeah, and so and then I'm trying to like, and then so yeah, we dropped Euthanasia, and then we dropped Hell Here, the music video, the day of the drop of Colder Than Dark. And I remember the video is kind of an funny story, because we when we shot the video, we shot it at in a castle in Vermont, in like southern Vermont, and it was like 2 degrees and there was no heat. And like me and Chase are wearing like t-shirts. You can like see our breath in the music video. Like, none of that's fake. It's like it's so cold. We rented 2 space heaters that both of them together could barely heat one person.
Wow.
And like the castle was creepy, had like birds flying around it and shit. And so that little room we're in is like this like atrium in the castle that where we shot the video. And I remember we had all stayed up the entire night before, like partying, and then like had to get up at 5 because we were on the news, the local news, but like no one saw it because it was like super early in the morning. And it was super cringy because the guy in the news like asked everybody the wrong questions. He told everybody on the TV that we were playing all of Warped Tour, and then we weren't. And then he was like, we're going to play their video. And the video like didn't play. And he was like, well, I guess that didn't work. It was just the worst thing. It was like, we're all like Jim Halpert, like just like.
It's such a Vermont news station.
So we went straight from that to shoot this video all day in the cold. And then we dropped that. And then I was actually, the day the EP dropped, I was in like Northern Washington. And this is actually when I met my girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
I've been with for like 4 years now because she lived in Washington at the time.
Wow.
I was at it might have been, this is a different trip. I was on a work trip for Zoomies at this like party class thing out in the mountains, trying to like get service to watch our like iTunes charting like all day while I was in between shit at work. And I'm like, I remember the Word Alive dropped their album the same day as Hello There and the same day as Colder Than Dark, because we were right behind the Word Alive the entire day on the charts. And I remember we charted at like 6 on the iTunes metal charts for our debut EP. And that was like this crazy, It was crazy for us. And I was like, SP Magic, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And then we played Warped Tour and it was great. And then it kind of just spiraled out of control from there. And then we played iMatter Fest that same year. And then, then we were record, and then we went to record Hello There early 2019, planned that whole campaign out, and, kind of led to where we are sort of now. The last show we played was our album release show a year ago this month.
Yeah, because it sounds like to me the SV Magic was actually a curse, because that is what is responsible for the current COVID situation. That's what happened. They said, all right, this band has had too much going right for them. We need to derail everything now.
No, and that's what it felt like too, because I remember like we booked that show and I was like, okay, we're going to do it. We want to do it in Vermont. We really haven't played here.
Right.
We don't even know if there is people. We don't really know who's going to show up, but we know all our family and our friends are here, and we want to be here. We want to do this with them. We wanted to have it here because this is where we're from. And we know we made our name playing in like the bungalow in New Hampshire was our home venue. Like that was where we would go if we wanted to like pack the place and have a headliner, because it was always nuts at bungalow. And then bungalow unfortunately closed. But but we got the Jewel, so that's hopefully when all this goes back.
Yeah, hopefully, right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was like we had the album release show, and it was like we're headlining Higher Ground. Like this is like the dream. I was like, I've been wanting to do this since I like started going to shows, and I remember if we fucking sold it out in pre-sales, and I was just like, there's no way. Like this is crazy, and it was like the craziest show of my life. And then we were supposed to headline the Palladium and play with you guys the next month, and that was when COVID struck, and it was just like all of this planning, like months and months and months of like shooting music videos and building up to this album release. And I've only played those songs, like aside from the singles that came out early, I've only played those songs one time. And the album's been out it's just fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is, because I remember with the Palladium show, it got pushed back, and Mike Karp, he was saying, he's like, yeah, well, it'll happen this day. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. I remember someone hit me up, and like the show, like something happened where the show went up, or like emailed people saying it was like, oh yeah, I got my ticket, it's rescheduled for this day. And I'm like, no, the fuck it isn't. Like it's like
I haven't heard anything. So I mean, you can show up, but I don't know if any of the bands will be there.
Yeah, that's not the first time that's happened. I remember we got this promoter reached out to us. This was, I think, 2019. Okay. It sucks because I totally would have played this show, but we couldn't play it because of a scheduling conflict. But we basically got hit up by a promoter to play with Cane Hill. Ooh. And it's this really badass band with a female screamer. They're like really hard. They're really badass, like really hardcore. What the fuck am I thinking of?
Is it luxury something?
No. Oh God, what's it?
Conform?
No. Oh man, I can't remember why I'm blanking on the name, but I remember being like, yeah, it's sick, but I can't. Like, we can't. One of us couldn't do it, and so we were like, and then we never confirmed the show or anything, blah blah. And then basically, we all got to start getting tagged in this flyer that like got pulled out. It's like Saving by Cane Hill night. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you guys played Cane Hill, and I'm like, what? Where? Why? What? No. Like, I was like, when is this happening? But it was like not the first time though, where someone was like, yeah, I got tickets, and I'm like, that's bad. Like, don't like, we're not playing. Like, but yeah, so yeah. And then I remember there was a minute there where I really thought the Palladium show might happen that year, and then after like the third month, I was like, this is not ending anytime soon.
Yeah, man.
And here we are, like, still. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird because obviously you guys have a full album that you haven't played. I mean, aside from the singles, and like literally everything we've released other than which I'm going to go back to it. It seems like a lot of metalcore bands have a lot of things in common: shitty EPs and no click track. That seems to be like the starting point for a lot of metalcore bands. That was definitely us. But everything besides that EP, which I don't like. I mean, I say that all the time. Adam's like, there's some good songs on there. I'm like, no, there's not. So we haven't played anything other than that. So the last time people saw us, it was like almost a totally different band. So no, that show at the Palladium would have been, I mean, it was awesome. It was going to be, it was, you guys, obviously, No Eye Has Seen, it was going to be a good time.
I planned on, that was another dream venue that I've been wanting to headline my whole life. Like, as long as I've been going to shows, like, and I knew, like, after the momentum we had after that album release show and like how well things were going, I was like, this is gonna be like, it's Massachusetts, it's the Palladium. All of our friends are gonna be there. Every band we've ever played with, everyone is gonna be there. This is going to be a fucking party. It's gonna be so dope. It's too good to be true. And that was like, and I know it'll happen one day, like whatever, but I just, it's such a bummer. Like, I remember when I started seeing the flyer popping back up in my timeline from like, now that we're getting close to when we thought it was going to happen. You know, it's weird too though, because like, it's funny because I feel like if that show does happen, I feel like the lineup is probably going to be a lot different for a lot of reasons, because I feel like there's like more bands now in the scene that weren't around then, and also the bands that are on the flyer are in like different places musically and like have grown a lot. So I'm kind of curious as to, like, I feel like you guys now should be higher on it than you were. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I feel like I look at this lineup and I'm like, this, like, some of these bands I'm pretty sure broke up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just like, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I just, yeah, I was like, I would love to rebook that show like as it is, but then just like upgrade it a little bit. And
what would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah, if you had the book, Tyler Small.
I would. I would love to add like Dreamwake.
Yeah.
Like, you know, something like that. You know, that's what I'm talking about though. Like maybe like I still think like No Iocene, like like No Iocene, TrueShot. I'm having trouble blanking on even who the fuck was on the flyer now though. It's been like a year. So
I think
Barbarian, obviously.
Attraction to Tragedy, Okami, I can't remember any.
It's been forever. Yeah, but I feel like there's been like a bunch of newer bands that have dropped singles that like did pretty well.
Yeah.
Over the pandemic, and I feel like would have like enhanced. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I would like to think that show will just get rebooked somehow.
Yeah,
but I don't know what that'll look like.
Well, yeah. So I mean, it's fair to say though. I mean, there's some bands that were on that flyer back then who would draw more than what their spot was, and there's some bands that weren't on there that would really help draw more now. I mean, that's just the natural order of things. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, I would have. That show would have been awesome, and it's like what you said though. But for you guys though, like even if when that show does come back, it won't have this. It'll still be awesome, right? But it won't have like that coming off the higher ground show, the momentum carrying into that, and then it just keeps continuing to kind of snowball from there. Yeah.
But like, let's say hypothetically that is the first show we play back.
Yeah.
It is the first Saving Vice show in a year. It's the first pandemic show.
True.
Every man, woman, and child who owns gym shorts or eyeliner will be there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's gonna be fucking mayhem. Like, I fully expect, like, if we're talking 100% capacity, everyone's vaccinated, which I saw even Mike was like, I'm waiting for real shows to come back. Like, I'm not gonna go book a half-ass sitting down mask show. Like, like, and like, we wouldn't do it justice. But like, if we're talking like things are like shows again, that show is going downstairs. Like,
ooh, yeah.
Like, bro.
Hey, let's
that's how I see it. Like, I want that like Saving Vice headlining downstairs, and then just stack that fucking bill, and then just it sells out like when it is announced, because everyone who's anybody just wants to punch someone in the pit. They don't care who's playing. Exactly. You know, and I just want that. I just want that, like, shows are back and everyone just like, like, I can't wait for that moment. Like,
because one thing is going to be like, say, because even if like, say when 100% capacity comes back, vaccines and all that, touring probably still may not happen just based off of different states' legislation.
Well, for smaller bands especially.
Right. So for us, like in this area, we may be that could very well be like the first bigger show back to the. I mean, it very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, like it might. I mean, I kind of see it in my head, unless like something with a label happens to us in the next year, and then we are like set up to be on some crazy big tour because of a label or some shit.
Sure. Right.
I expect our whenever shows come back to be like one-off shows.
Exactly.
Like big one, like we were playing before we were about to start touring. You know, I mean, I expected to be like, play Higher Ground again, headline the Palladium again, you know, headline the Palladium. You know, we were supposed to go do this fucking weekender. I think it was the day after the Palladium. We were supposed to go headline. We were supposed to, because it was supposed to be headline Higher Ground, headline the Palladium. Next day, headline the Alchemy, and it was for that marijuana festival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was so excited for that. I was like, this is like the after party show. You know what I mean? I think you guys were playing that too.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Or something.
So I think I think you're right. But I can't remember. It's funny because right before the pandemic, we were supposed to play with Head PE, and I'm like, damn, now that'll never happen. Head PE, you know.
But I think that it'll, you know, I'm fine with easing my way back into it because I haven't even held my microphone since Higher Ground.
Other than our music video, which I don't even remember the last music video. Yeah, our last music video I did. Other than that, I haven't.
In the church, right?
No, that was actually no microphone. It was for Mirage, the song that just.
Oh, that's right, because you were all like with your hands, like, yeah. I just remember that like still that you guys posted where you were like,
yeah,
like.
I was like, what picture looks the goofiest that I can throw up here?
And you're wearing like a priest outfit, aren't you?
Yeah.
We got death metal Ray Romano here to fucking take away your sins, people.
Yep. Yeah, and I make no bones about it. I totally kind of stole that getup from Frankie Palmieri in the Flag of the Beast music video.
I will say that was the first. I know you simp for Amir, but that was like the first Amir song I fucked with, and like as long as I can remember. But that song slaps.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's like I've belt. Yeah. I was like, wow, that fucking guitar. I'm all just like,
yeah, it's so groovy, and it's just
like, hey man, if I make you feel better.
Yeah,
like, dude, that shit slaps.
I know. I do simp for Amir. I do. I'm pretty sure that Frankie will probably file a restraining order on me here within the next 12 to 18 months.
I mean, he can't do that. He doesn't have a lot of people left who still love him like you do. So
I think I may honestly love him the most. I mean, that very well may be. I mean, it's just the way that it goes. But nah, man. So actually, I was going to ask you. You kind of brought it up. I know that you mentioned. You said if something with a label happens, have you guys ever gotten any kind of even smaller? Anybody who's kind of been like, hey, what's going on?
It's like the conversations have happened, but like nothing has come. Let's put it this way: nothing has come up. Like we were very much wanting to be independent.
Yeah.
Like. We would take a label deal if it was the right deal with the right label.
Right.
Like right now, because now like we were in a very good place.
Yeah.
Business wise, right before the pandemic hit. Like we were good. We were making good. We had been very smart with money and finances. We intentionally tried to be independent. We learned everything we could about doing everything like. And it's funny too because it's so much of the shit that like every band I know and I ask them and they don't even know what I'm talking about, and it makes me realize why so many bands depend on labels so much.
Yep.
Well, like we had like BMI, Song Trust, Sound Exchange, like
all
right, we have like a whole infrastructure. We have like an intern, someone who runs our social media. We have our own PR person who worked for it's like we did this all ourselves, and we were making the money enough when we played shows that we could budget and like do all these big videos and do all this stuff.
Right.
And all that income's gone. So like right now, labels are looking pretty sexy right now because a label is a bank and we need a bank, you know, but it's like, if we could hold out, you know, like it just depends on what's out there. But yeah, I mean, weirdly enough though, it's because we didn't get the one thing that I think that has kept us from just getting labels thrown at us. Because people ask me all the time, like, why the fuck? Like, how the fuck? Like, how are you not saying? Why are you? It's because we haven't toured enough. That's like what all labels want to see.
Yeah.
It's that age old, like, dying archaic, like, oh, you haven't camped out enough in your band. Yeah. It's like, I was like, sorry. We're good with money and we know that that's stupid. Like, it's like, you know, it's like, we know that we're not a band that can financially afford to do a national tour where it's going to actually do anything, especially when like 5 people show out to see bands they've never heard of. So it's like, but that's what they want to see. They want to see. It almost feels more like an arbitrary rite of passage than anything that's measurably means anything, which is why we've been doing just fine. So like, if no one wants to see us for what we are, and they have these like expectations that they want before they'll look at us, then like, fuck them, they'll regret it later. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
Like I read, like, it's, you know, and if like because it's like every single comment I see where it's like, oh man, like how these guys are, it's like that all has to mean something. And I feel like if all I know for sure is our conversion rate. I know that if you put our music or you put us in front of people, 90% of them will line up at our merch tent. Or like, so it's like, and I know that, and as a business, we know what the numbers are. So I don't really care what somebody else thinks, because like it's all about making them more money anyways in the end of it. And like we're here to do this for ourselves. So like, but there are labels out there who are helpful and are good, and I think could help us a lot. It's just waiting for them to like give us a chance, because we don't have that experience and tenure. Because like we really were just about to try to like last year was supposed to be the year where we literally had these tours planned out just so we could be like, look, we did it. Now we fucking
did it, right.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like we were gonna do the West Coast. We had a tour of Virtue and Savage Hands that was supposed to happen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that never got announced. But yeah, it was literally like we were doing it literally just to fucking feel like, okay, yeah, it's on the college, you know, like we got the fucking diploma.
Yeah.
Can we come in? Like, you know, and that was all it was. And it was but we didn't get to do that. So we're still, in some people's eyes, we're like stuck in this purgatory where we're like too big to be a local band, but we're not quite like a big band, because like Hello There got its nut clipped like right as it dropped. Yeah. So it's like, and so I mean, that's me speaking. Probably the most frankly I've spoken about all that on an interview.
I mean, it's true. I mean, it is true. And it's funny you say that, because going back to Randy, and if I were you, when I talked to him and Dan, I said, have you guys ever been hit up? Because I mean, they have a pretty good sized following. They've been around for a while. And I said,
they have millions and millions and millions of streams. Yeah,
exactly. And I said,
but they don't play shows.
Exactly. And that's what they said too. They said, we've never been contacted by a label, and it's really because of that. And I was like, man, because I'd like to think that eventually, like, the success is so undeniable that a label's going to be like, all right, like, we should probably get in on this. But apparently, it's like what you're saying, the tours and the shows are really, I don't know. I guess that's really a big part of it.
And that's fair, because like, as you can tell from every band that's not playing shows right now, who's broke, all the money comes from shows. So from a business standpoint, it's like not unfair for labels to act that way. But at the same time, it's like, and it kind of sucks for us, because like we know that like we can do triple digits in merch at any festival we play. Yep. And we know that like we do triple digits if we do a headliner in New England or in this corner. But then again, it's like but it's like, I mean, obviously if we went and fucking played, we drove across the country right now, we'd probably be playing to like 15, 20 kids in a lot of these places, because and also that's just the environment. It's not like 2010. Right, where like everybody went to every show. Yeah. So I think I would like to think the pandemic will change that. I think people took it for granted.
Yeah.
But it is fair to some end, because like at the end of the day, and that's the other reason why we're not like super bummed about not having a label, because like a label, like I don't want a label to sign us and then be like, sweet, go record an album. It's like, no, it's stupid. We want to do singles. Like exactly. I don't want a label that's going to be like, oh sweet, like go on the road, because it's the only way we're going to make money, regardless of if it's a good idea or not. So it's like having that, like, because at the end of the day, like if we're not going to make money playing shows and be playing shows, what good are you to a label?
Exactly.
So it's like, and so it's like got to be a mutual thing. And I think like, you know, maybe to some ends, like right now there's not a symbiotic relationship, but bands are still getting signed who haven't played shows during the pandemic. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, maybe, I don't know. It's like maybe labels are kind of maybe they'll eventually, maybe some more than others will kind of turn the corner of like maybe sign bands because of what's going on with the pandemic. Because who knows? I mean, shows will come back. It's just when. Because I mean, eventually there's going to have to be like that. All right, rip off the Band-Aid. Let's do it. And I mean, eventually, hopefully. So I don't know, man. I do hope that you guys do get that, because like I saw what happened with Hello there, and it was such a bummer, because like to watch that from afar, because I know that you guys had built that up. You and like I mean, you sold out the Higher Ground show, and then it was just like it just
no, and I appreciate the condolences. Trust me. I mean, like I remember like January, February of 2019 was when we recorded the album, and we went through so much shit. Like when Kenji joined the band, we were doing the lineup change. There was some kind of inner turmoil. Some people had some stuff to sort out. Like we were all going through some shit. I mean, Robbie and Sammy both are going like over a year sober now. Like they were kind of going through their demons and fighting their, and like we were all dealing with stuff that was going on. And like, I remember there was a point where we were all so broken in 2019, where like, we got to see this through with the album. Cause like, we'll at least do this. And we'll at least do this. Right. And, but I remember we had planned out like Endgame, Never Knows Best, Hollow Bats, like all those videos were planned out like 7 months out. Like we had this entire campaign planned out to like all build up to Hello There, and it all went perfectly. So it was almost more so just like, it wasn't just dropping an album and then getting like, fuck, we don't get to play it, blah, blah, but it was like, we put like just all of our chips, like so much money, bro. I don't even want to tell you how much like we spent on like, but between music videos and the album, like it's like 20, like more than $20,000, like, you know what I'm saying, like out of our pockets, because we're independent. So it's just like, out of what we would make in revenue from merch. And so, and that's but we hope that like, one day someone will see what we built. Like if we were able to build this infrastructure and do all this and accomplish all this by ourselves, just imagine what we could do if someone would just give us a little
push.
That's how I see it. Yeah. And that's how I see it. Like, yeah, man, we haven't played the shows, like fair, like whatever, there's certain expectations. I'm not going to be that dude who's like, where there's some guy being like, man, this little kid doesn't know shit about the music industry. Like, I get there's probably some shit I don't understand, but there's also some basic, like there's hard numbers and clear results
data
that I feel like are ignored that matter.
Yeah.
Like If I Were You might not draw a crowd because they don't play a lot of shows, but if you put If I Were You on tour with Falling in Reverse or some shit, everyone who listens to like all those millions of people who stream them and have streamed them for thousands of years will come out and they would do really well. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think like doing, just because you haven't done something doesn't mean you can't do it. Like, exactly. I don't know.
No, it's a good point.
So I don't know. I just, at this point, we're just kind of do what we always do. We're like, we play it like we're in this for ourselves. We're alone in this. We got to figure this out on our own. We've never expected a label to save us. We've never expected to get signed.
Yeah.
We don't really care. Like if it happens and it's right, sure.
Right.
But we're not planning for it. So
that's good.
We do still have stuff in the works. It's just been obviously delayed immensely because of the financial repercussions of COVID,
Yeah. So, that's why, man, like for us, especially, like, obviously you guys, have been through it, starting up a band. I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, you have 5, in your case, you have 5 members, correct?
Yeah, we're like the only 5-piece band with 2 vocals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's why I was like, maybe there's 6, but or 12. Maybe there's a Slipknot, but no.
It'd be nice for paying for videos.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was gonna say. So for you guys with 5 people, even 5 ways, this stuff is still a lot of money. But for us, it was 3 people, and we're like, we've just got to find a way to sustain. I mean, we just cannot continue at this rate of out of pocket, or we're all going to be homeless. So that, thankfully, with the YouTube channel and the Patreon and stuff like that, it helps sustain. But
you guys have done great. I mean, like all the time, like, I always say, look to the people who are good at doing what you want to do, or who are doing, it's like I'm always sending shit you guys are doing to the chat, being like, man, look what they're doing. Like, this is sick. Like look how well this is doing. Like they were doing shit a year ago. Now look at them. You know what I'm saying? Like look at that. Like it's true. It's like you guys have built something cool.
Yeah, and I mean, and not even blowing smoke, man. Like you guys, because obviously being from the New England area, I mean, you guys were kind of our bar. We're like, yeah, we're going for that level this. We're like, we're going for that, because no, I mean, we recognize it. I mean, that's why, like, I mean, straight up, like, if that show were to happen again, I might sound like a pompous ass, but there's no reason why we should be playing before you. But I mean, hey, we'll see what happens. But I like the grin you have there. But no,
this is all that shit that people are afraid to talk about on podcasts. Yeah. You know what I mean? No one wants to say they're.
Yeah, no, well, I just think of it from like it's all performance based in terms of just, the data. I mean, it just goes back to that. I mean, I know that we're developing and, I know that we're still getting there, but no, yeah, man.
But you guys have reached though, and like I agree. Like, I mean, like if I was to try to build a New England lineup with the bands that are like, in my brain, the biggest bands in our area, like you guys are in my top 5 immediately in my head now. And like a year ago, I wouldn't have even thought of you guys because I barely knew who you were. And like, that's growth. You know what I'm saying? What you've done in 1 year is pretty impressive. And it's like, I'd say in some ways, the rate that you guys have excelled, especially because of the podcast and the networking, I think that you've done, you guys have actually, in some ways, kind of gotten to where you are faster than we did, if you were to try to measure it in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, so but no, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, you guys are like doing cool things, and I think like and I think what you choose to do, I think the only thing, the thing to be careful about when you do something like where your content is this almost other media entirely, you got to make sure that you don't get pigeonholed to where your music doesn't get taken as seriously as the content, because the content overtakes it.
Yes.
That's the one thing I would worry about if I were you.
Yes. No, I know what you're saying. And there was kind of a point for us with the reaction videos and whatnot, where we were kind of like, we in our heads, we're kind of like, okay, are we going to be a reaction channel that does music, or are we going to be a band that does, you know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Exactly. So, but I think what I'm hoping for is that as we progress, because I mean, I don't really consider the EP, I mean, it's part of our catalog, but I don't think we'll ever touch it again, in a live setting, just because I don't know, especially being a vocalist, I'm just not in it. You know what I mean? There's just something there that's disconnected.
Well, I mean, you guys have the luxury of the pandemic where there's no reason to cling to old music you don't really care about. Like, exactly. You have plenty of time to write new stuff.
Right. So what I'm hoping for with us is that just the music, I think for me personally has progressively gotten better since our single with Aiden. And, Mirage, I think, was kind of like the song where people are like, okay, we'll take this band a little bit more seriously now. So my plan is that I just hope the music speaks for itself and kind of overrides that. But I definitely know what you're saying, and that is definitely something that I have thought of, because I kind of got into the mindset of like, I just want to be everywhere so that people just cannot avoid the name. But it is important what you're saying, though, to always make sure that the band and the music is the number one, and the rest of it is just
and not even like necessarily like, yes, but like I always look at it from like a branding perspective, where it's just like, what is it about? It depends on what your band is, because it's like, it depends what about your band that people connect to.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes like the marketability comes from like what people relate to, and it's like, it's kind of like, I don't know how I'm trying to think of a good example, but it's like, if you have this band that writes this super serious, emotional, tormented shit, and then they're doing like TikTok dance videos, it almost like it almost makes it feel fake.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense, I'm saying. It's like,
yeah.
but then again, like I feel like from what I've noticed, a lot of people who listen to you guys just like that you guys are fucking shreddy and heavy. Like, they don't really give a fuck about the personality. You know what I mean? They just like you, but they like you guys, and they like heavy music.
Yeah.
So that might not hurt you, but you see what I'm saying? Like, but if like Little Peep came out the next day and was just like doing like a TikTok like dance video, all these dudes who are just in their rooms being like, yeah, I'm so faded and I'm so hurt, just like him. And then like my life sucks, but he's actually just living it up and just pretends that he's like that. Like that, you see what I'm saying? It's
no,
and
for sure.
So it depends what your brand is.
Yeah.
Like,
and I guess, you know, because for you guys, I know that you guys have the image down. I mean, like, it's like you guys have it down, like like just the presentation and stuff. I think that for us, we just haven't really had it. We're just like a bunch of dads. I mean, literally and figuratively. So like I've always kind of,
so many heavy bands are
exactly.
You know, that's not really weird.
No,
like,
but I guess I've always kind of really liked, and this is kind of a random band, but also not like kind of like a branding that I've always kind of thought was cool. Because there really isn't any branding there, but there is Parkway Drive. I mean, what's the branding with Parkway Drive? They're just like normal dudes, you know. So that's
they're gym shortcore. That's what I call them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's like a day to remember. It's gym shortcore.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
It's like never, not a day in those bands' lives has any thought gone into what anybody was wearing in a photo shoot. Like that's like
it's interesting.
Like Oxford's Red. Oxford's Red, like, dude, homie was wearing fucking flip-flops on stage. Caution is to the wind.
Still,
like,
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny.
So funny. You remember Drew? I told you this dude Drew was in our band originally.
Yep.
Drew was upset. He was, like, talent-wise, the most talented guitarist who's ever been in the band. Because he was that shredding, like, he was obsessed with August Burns Red. Like,
so he sounds like Adam. Yeah.
He was meant to be a studio. Was it, you know? But I remember he wore like gym shorts and flip flops on stage because he loved August was Red, and it just stuck out like a sore thumb. It was like, we're not that band, because it was. I remember the first couple shows Saving Grace played. It looked like 3 of the members got ready for a show and then just stopped on the side of the highway to pick up the other 2 or 3 guys. Like, and they were like, "Can you play?" Yeah, I mean, is that what you're wearing? Okay, like it's like it was kind of like. And it's weird because I know there's a lot of polarizing conversations within image and fashion and metal.
Yeah.
But it's at the end of the day, every single genre and subgenre has an image or a fashion that ties to it.
Yeah.
And even the people who shit on people for getting dressed up for their bands are all dressed exactly like their favorite bands.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like people can act like they don't give a fuck, but they're all dressed exactly like Knock Loose.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Because Knock Loose dresses in a certain way. It's like, oh, I have long hair and a beanie and a really big shirt and a chain and I don't care. But you cared enough to wear a big shirt and a chain and to have really long hair and to look like you don't care. Like, so it's just like.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like intentionally trying to not look good is still fashion.
Yeah, it's funny. I see some people in these music videos, man, especially from Australia, like all the streetwear stuff. And I'm like, where do you even buy these clothes? Like, I literally have no clue where you even purchase some of these things.
I mean, I like that shit a lot. I mean,
yeah,
some of our band doesn't give a fuck. Some of our band does, and it's like it. I think more so when I look at it is a lot of the time it's just like, man, these guys like. You know, put up their house so they could get it out for this video because you know they're not making that money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like
expensive.
It's like when you see metalcore, like, you know, these local touring bands wearing Yeezys and shit, and I'm like, don't you gotta pay your phone bill? Like, it's dude, straight up. Like, we just shot a video this past Saturday. I went to H&M and got a couple outfits, and I returned them. Because I was like, I can't afford to pay for own these clothes. What do you mean? and you know when it's H&M and you still have to return it, it's rough. Yeah. That's like I was like, I mean, dude, I remember it's so funny. All of my jeans, I think I've worn every Saving Vice show or promo for the first 3 years were H&M skinny jeans. Yeah. I have just every single pair. I ripped the crotch open like 2 or 3 shows in. Like there's one pair of jeans I still have in my dresser that are my show skinny jeans that have like both crotches ripped out. They got like the pocket is ripped out in one side. They're not even functional. They're basically leggings. Yeah. Like at this point with just holes in the crotch. And I literally was like, you know what? I'm not destroying a new pair of jeans every show. So like on tour, I would just change into this one pair of jeans every night before we play a show. And that's where you kind of adjust to the tour. The clothing balance on tour is like an art in itself. It's because you've got to like, okay, these are like my 3 sweaty shirts and my sweaty jeans. And then these are like my daytime comfy, sleepy, clean shirts that aren't really clean because I'm gonna sleep in them every day. And then here's like two nice shirts in case someone wants to take pictures of us somewhere. Like,
oh yeah, no, so playing in jeans. I've never played in pants. It's always been like joggers or like shorts. And I love playing in shorts because it's just more comfortable and more free. How do you play in jeans? That's gotta be.
I mean, dude, I mean, I've only worn. I mean, I now, like, as of the past year because of COVID, now own sweatpants, like cargo joggers, like like plaid trousers. Like I've kind of branched out with my pants, but I have worn nothing but skin tight painted on like black jeans for almost 10 years. So it's like that's all I've ever played in. And they kind of just become part of you. Like, but I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, I get home from shows and I literally get home and I have to like peel them off inside out.
You have like
after,
the black from the pants like on your legs. Like
you'd think so. There's like you can see it's all faded and white, like in the knees and the crotch and like the certain part, but they're like texturized and so soft, and they have this like sheen, like it looks like an anime character because they have this wrinkle to them because I've worn them so many times and I don't wash my pants ever. So like my jeans are just like you're not supposed to wash your denim. I learned that when I worked for Levi's. Levi Strauss himself said never wash your denim. So like, but yeah, so I like if you do, you're supposed to dry clean them or cold wash and hang dry them inside out. But anyways, weird fact.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I haven't put a t-shirt in the dryer in 10 years. Like that's why all my shirts still fit. I hang dry and cold wash all of my shirts.
Wow.
And I don't ruin or shrink anything. But yeah, change your life. You don't have to buy as many shirts. But yeah, no, it's like but like my show pants, they're all like soft and like they look all shiny and they have like the perfect wrinkles in the knees because I've like worn them so many times, and they're just like, and I just can't even imagine the like beer and whiskey and sweat that's just embedded in the fibers.
Yeah.
Like,
so I was gonna say, if you don't wash them, I mean, I'm trying to think of like, so if because you're not supposed to wash them like you said, but if that happens, like if you get beer all over them or something, I have
to be able to see the stain to wash them. So if like beer's clear, I just pat it out with a paper towel. I get over it. I've literally one time just like sprayed my pants with dry shampoo. Like I just don't. Yeah. If I can't, if it doesn't look like, and I wear black jeans, so it's like if I can't
really notice it.
So unless it's like, you know, I've spilt like, you know, something looks like a cum stain or something, and I'll wash them. Like that's about it. Like I don't really give a fuck. It's funny too because I'm such a like little like pretty super clean. Like I'm so clean. Like I have to shower every day. I'm all clean.
I was going to say that, you know,
I'm very feminine and groomed, but like I don't give a shit about something.
Yeah, that's why when you said, I was like, wait a minute, because that doesn't add up to the rest of the look that you portray.
No, I haven't washed my hair in almost like 2 weeks. Like, you know, it's just there's you wear your Target with your Tiffany's, you know.
I was going to say you're more Carhartt than the people who wear it. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Dude, I know. I can't even imagine, dude, my pants have seen some shit. Like
So speaking of black jeans, though, well, that kind of ties into Zoomies in a weird, loose way. Because so you're like your day job is you're a manager at Zoomies, and I was telling you before we started, I have a story with that. This goes back to probably 2019. I went into the Zoomies in Newington, New Hampshire, which is at the Fox Run Mall, and I don't know how it came up, but the TrueShot was formed at the time, and I was talking to there was a woman working there, and I don't know how it came up, but she was like, "Oh, have you played?" She said, "Do you know of or have you played with Saving Vice before?" And I was like, "No, but I know who they are." And then she told me that you were a manager at Zoomies, so she somehow knew you, and that's kind of like how I first kind of.
Wait, where were you?
Newington, New Hampshire, the Fox.
Well, because everybody in New Hampshire and Maine is in my district, so like I'm literally in a group chat with them. Like I see them for all of our local we all have the same district manager who's really badass, by the way. Johnny, if you're watching this, thanks for letting me go on tour. Like, but no, like he's the shit. But no, like I have a so I'm friends with like every manager in that wing. So
Interesting.
so that's our unit. So
Okay,
we have
that makes sense.
like we've had like, we'll get in an Airbnb and we'll get like an Airbnb and we do like sales classes and we do training and then we all get drunk together. Like that's what Zoomies is all like. It's pretty sick. Like it's a pretty dope job. I mean, I've got like, I get to go to these big parties where I get to hang out with all the clothing brand owners and like
Oh,
get free
cool.
shit. And I, like hung out with Shepard Ferry, who like owns Obey, like, like
Oh,
all sorts of shit. Like, yeah, it's dope. And everyone's really cool. It's just good people. And like, who are like, the thing I like about Zoomies is like, and I think why I think a lot of musicians gravitate and artists gravitate towards it is because like they accept everybody as exactly who they are.
yeah.
Like, it's like
Yep.
there's no expectations. And it's like really like on that level, you just have to like be a good person and do your job. Like, and this and
Yeah.
be good. It'll be a good, so it's but yeah. And like my old, they're all really supportive and like some of them come and gone, but some of them I've been working with for years. But I get texts all the time like, man, I keep see kids in Saving Vice shirts coming into my store like all the fucking time.
Oh,
And I've
that's
learned a
cool.
lot. Like I've learned a lot about what I do with our merch and like how I run
Yeah.
design and how I predict trends. And I learn a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like about reading up on merch. I learned a lot from just running this business for all these years. And I know what kids are wearing and what's selling and what's not selling. And like a lot of that goes directly into the decision making because me and Chase make like design and run all the merch. So
Right.
like it helps me come up with it's almost like having like an overhead view because I remember like there's stuff that I've did or wanted to do with our merch where like the guys were like, no man, that's really weird and out of pocket. And I'm like, no, but I'm telling you, like this
I
is what
know.
people are fucking doing. Like this will sell. And then we do it and it fucking blows up. And then like all of a sudden every band's selling it in the next 6 months because like
Right.
it's always like ahead of the curve. But
Yeah.
one of the problem I found is that we get a little too ahead of the curve sometime. And then
Yeah.
sometimes like there's even songs on Hello there that I'm like, bro, if we had dropped this in 2021, it would have
Mm.
gone off with like Endgame. I feel like if we had dropped it as a new single right now, would probably be our biggest song. Like, for example, which
Yeah.
is kind of why we did a video for Nerve Damage for the 1 year anniversaries, because Nerve Damage was that song that was the dark horse on the album because it was like 2 years too soon. It was
Okay.
like
Yeah.
we were doing a lot of shit on it that was just weird, and it was like the synthy stuff, and it's kind of Deftonesy, and then there's like screams, but this super poppy radio chorus, and then like Bring Me the Horizon did what Bring Me the Horizon did, and now that song sounds like it could have been a Bring Me the Horizon B-side off Survival Horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I've kind of noticed, but it's been like that with merch too, where like we've done some stuff like we did this Endgame tee where I drew like anime eyes and we had these like all these like Japanese symbols and like it sold, but it didn't do that well. And then a year later, like every single fucking man, woman, and child is doing anime Japanese print shit. And I'm just like, fuck, like I should have waited. I was like, I was like, this is it. It's like, maybe you're not ready for that, but your kids are going to love it. Like that's kind of been like the whole thing.
That's fun. So would you say that Zoomy, because obviously Hot Topic used to be like the scene kind of store. Would you say that Zoomies has kind of taken over that spot or?
Well, yes, I think like, yes, in that like every time I play a show, a band I'm playing with they're all they all look like they went to the mall that day and got their outfits at Zoomies. But like there's really no, aside from like the people who work there sometimes, there's like no metalcore presence. Like it's all hip hop and streetwear oriented these days there. Even though all of this hip hop and streetwear shit is all just like stolen from metal aesthetic and metal and emo culture,
Right.
like,
True.
but it's like there aren't like it's weird. It's like that. It's not like the Zoomies playlist is playing metalcore. Like I think there's like one like the music service that they use has like I've heard like the used in like Bring Me the Horizon, and that's it.
Wow.
And it's just really weird too. There's like there's still such a big disconnect to that genre and like the mainstream.
Yeah.
In some ways, even though I feel like, especially with like MGK and like Trippie Redd and all these like emo like rap rocker, it's like they're like standing on the shoulders of like that whole genre and calling themselves tall with their fashion and all of their imagery and all this stuff. But it's like it was all done 1,000 times already. in this subgenre that the whole world doesn't really know about outside of like the scene. It's weird.
It's weird. That is weird.
Because the scene's so big, but it's so small.
Yeah, it's very niche, even though like being in it, you feel like it's, I mean, you go on Facebook or Twitter and it's like encompasses your entire.
But you ask like every kid who comes into Zoomies if they know who Asking Alexandria is, and like 1 in 10 people know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody who listens to metal. I mean, I have one friend who does. I mean, literally, like nobody listens to this stuff. Yeah.
But we can't let it go because it's dope.
Yeah, listen, man. I believe that you said to me once in a message. You said that what was it? What kind of metalcore was it that I liked? But you gave like a sound with it. You were like a badung or something like that, or I can't remember what you said, but it was so funny, and that's just so true. I just love that stuff. It's like a badung. It's like
you like you like that. That's the kind of metalcore you like.
Yes,
like you like Seinfeld metalcore.
Yeah. Seinfeld core.
Like Adam's up there just like be-do-do-do-do, but on guitar.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like he's like so like era August Burns Red, and I'm just like,
oh, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like it's crazy. But yeah, and I'm like like Amur and like Alpha Wolf, like, that kind of.
Yeah, but that's a cool combo.
Yeah, we try to combine it as best as we can, because I just cannot get into the super proggy, like I call it the musician's music. Like
I'm the same way. I'm like I don't. Like and I've said this on every interview I think I've ever done, because everyone likes to take anything they possibly can out of context. Like I say, well, I think subjectively, I think the Foo Fighters are objectively a dope band. I subjectively don't want to hear their music ever.
Exactly.
But I love Dave Grohl.
Yep.
Like I love Dave Grohl. I could go the rest of my life without ever hearing a fucking song that man's written in his career for the rest of my life. I don't like, and that's what I'm saying is like, I objectively understand these are the bands that are really talented, and this is that, and this is that, and this is that. But like, there's a difference between, and this is where this is how I kind of describe, like, there's a difference between being able to play an instrument really well and being a good songwriter are not the same thing.
100%. Yes.
And then some of these bands are just them flexing on their instrument for for 3 minutes. And then there's zero catchiness. There's no hooks. It's not structured well. It's but it's like, if you care about that, then it's the best thing you've ever fucking heard. You know what I mean? And I think Periphery is one of the few bands that managed to kind of do a little bit of both. But even then, when I listen to Periphery, all I can think is like, how the fuck does Spencer even hear melodies to sing over this music? Like when he if you sent me a Periphery instrumental and we're like, hey, write a chorus for this, I would be like, I don't know what to fucking do with this. Like, I don't do.
It's a great point. I'm glad that you said that too, because, I know that I'm a vocalist. You're a vocalist. Listen, man, at the end of the day, the vast majority of people, regardless of genre, gravitate to the vocals. Like that's the first thing. So
the vocals will make or break your music unless you're a band's band.
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. And for some guitar players who are very proficient with their instrument and they also write music, sometimes it's hard for them to kind of understand that. To kind of take a step back and be like, okay, I know that I can do this, but is it best for the song? And that also does happen with vocalists too, like even screamers, we hear it all the time. There's somebody who's just going to be tunnel throating for 3.5 minutes when like maybe you don't need to do that,
Yeah, and I find that sometimes small doses have a way larger impact.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of like, initially the reason, I joined the band, the contingency was that I wanted to scream and sing if I joined the band, because I did everything. I always hated two vocalist bands because every single one of them, the one dude's expendable and it's usually the screamer. Like, and eventually every band loses the screamer. Like, and I didn't want to fall into this fucking trope.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay, I want to do something different. I want to write songs that neither of us could perform live without the other. I want to write song, and I want to like there's no song in our discography that like I could do without help, without Chase, and Chase obviously couldn't do without me because he doesn't sing, but like, and it was like, and I want to scream too because like I want people to hear it and be like, holy shit, like it's not just like the screaming guy and the singing guy.
Yeah, right.
The singer is actually really fucking good at screaming too. And like we could do an Angel Maker song if we wanted and have no cleans at all, which is why we did the Binary EP and Echoes, is because like we wanted to just show that we can do anything.
And I gotta be, so going to the Binary EP real quick, I, like probably a lot of other people, I was kind of surprised at, you know, like your song, The Spire. It was a lot more badong, but it was more Seinfeld core than I thought it was going to be coming from you.
Yeah, I mean, it was the whole point so those two songs actually, and for anyone who's doesn't know what I'm talking about, so like we basically released a 2-song EP. Yeah. One song was all me screaming, one song was all Chase screaming, and it was like the heaviest songs we've ever released. And we even went like to Shane Frisbee again just to make sure the recording sounded really raw, because Randy's stuff is very polished and produced like modern metalcore is, and we didn't want it to sound like that. We wanted it to sound just dirty.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, the whole idea was like we almost did that on the album, and then that's kind of where Echoes from the Gutter was almost a song that just had Chase on it.
Oh, interesting.
Because we had but it was like there's no sense in only having Chase do Echoes just because I have So Safe. Because Chase isn't on So Safe because Chase doesn't sing, but there's no reason for me to not be on Echoes because I scream too. And we almost did but I was like, yo, what if we list later on though? We just drop kind of zombie EP. We just do this super out of pocket, super heavy thing, and we'll just do like no singing at all. And we'll do one song that kind of suits Chase's style and one song that kind of suits more and so Chase's was kind of like deathcore-y, like Chelsea Grin, Born of Osiris. And mine was like Knocked Loose Currents.
Yeah.
You know, and like that kind of like that more hardcore. And like when we both just were like, I just want to like flex screams for a whole song and just have fun. Yeah. And I actually wrote that whole song in one. It was funny because the whole song, my song is actually about, it's a Star Wars song. No one, like most people don't know this, but it's actually about Anakin Skywalker and Ben Solo becoming Darth Vader and Kylo Ren. Like that's what the whole song's about. And if you really listen to it, there's some reference to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think we may have lost a little bit of that recording there. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what happened, but it was just a couple of minutes. But no. So but yeah, it was funny because like when I first heard the Binary EP, I was kind of taken aback because I know that it's funny because my trajectory with metalcore is interesting. I was still kind of into like the thrashier, like you know, like I don't know if you ever heard of the band like Battle Cross, but Whitechapel and like that rise core era.
I used to I had a deathcore, like I remember like 2010 2011 I was like super into like I was really big on fucking like Carnifex, Whitechapel, you know, like Suicide Silence. I mean, you can hear it in my heavier stuff. I do like, I know I learned to do high screams listening to Mitch Lucker, you know?
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
Like, you know, that was like, I used to like love that shit. And I just got to a point where like, even today, even though I love New Chelsea Grin, I can't listen to more than 2 or 3 songs of that before I get bored of that genre though. I like the cleans. I can't listen to just straight heavy stuff anymore, like for too long. It doesn't entertain me like it used to. Like I appreciate it, but not long. I can't listen to a whole album of it anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I think like my entryway into metalcore was like As I Lay Dying, and it's still like thrashier kind of stuff, and I really liked that stuff. So like I missed the rise core era. Like people are like, oh, you've never heard Stand Up and Scream. I don't know, I totally missed all that. I mean, I never listened to any of that. I just never got into it because I was like into, you know, like Avenged Sevenfold, you know, like Whitechapel, As I Lay Dying. It was like Lamb of God, like that sort of stuff. And then it kind of went from there until the Seinfeld core, as we like to call it. So I like that whole rise core era kind of passed me by. So when I heard you guys, I heard a lot of the comparisons for like Asking Alexandria or Motionless in White, that kind of stuff. And Motionless in White was another band that I don't say overlooked, but it was just like I just never got exposed to them at all. So when I first heard you guys' stuff, it was very like my favorite song by you guys to this day is Never Knows Best. That's still my favorite one.
That's my favorite too.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that. It's just I really think like the emotional aspects of the song really make the drops in it like really just kind of take the wind out of your chest almost. There's something about it where it's like wait, what's the lyric again? It's like the clean part that you have
with the end where it's like I lost whatever I thought love was.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of the fans.
Yes, and then
that song was very personal for me too.
Okay.
And it was like, so it was kind of like it's weird because I try not to write our shit. All of our songs are written with like it's like 5 different meanings. There's like what it means to me. There's what I know it's gonna mean to you, and there's like what I've seen other people go through and what I think that it would feel like for them. And I write that way so that anyone who's listening to it, it can be exactly what it needs to be for them. So like there's shit in that song. Like I was not like, there's parts of that song that are about specific ex-girlfriends I've had and specific things that I've been through.
Sure.
But like, I'm not the girl in the video. Like I haven't been in a super controlling, brutal, manipulative relationship, but I know a lot of girls and friends of mine who have been. So it's kind of like it's my experience fused with
melding
I think
it together.
Shit that like I see that I feel like doesn't get talked about. So it's kind of like in a little bit of those. So like that way I can kind of hide my own heartbreak in it, but I also like the thing with Hello There. It's funny you bring that up because like the thing about Hello There was. And it's the line in that song. This isn't a lesson in heartbreak, just in how it fades. The whole point of like that album was Colder Than Dark, which I wrote most of that album or that EP. It was like all of my pent up shit from the past 4 years where I wasn't writing music. And it was like Colder Than Dark was like just basically all of these different stages of like grief and inner torment and death. It was like suicide, addiction, heartbreak, loss, self-defeat. And then it was like Hello There. It was like, okay, like we've written about all this stuff, but it's like, how do we make it different? And it's like Hello There was supposed to be like what Hello There, because Hell Here was supposed to be like the hell here. And then Hello There, which is like a play off the words where you add the O and the T, and it's Hell Here with a and a lot of people don't put that together some fucking how, even though we kind of blur out the E on the title of the album a little bit to try to give a hint. But like Hello There was supposed to be like you facing it and being like, I see you.
Yeah.
Like your demons. The twins are like supposed to represent all of that shit in your head. So like the Blackbriar was like us facing your demons and like in your own mind. And the Blackbriar was supposed to embody that. And so Never Knows Best was supposed to be like, this isn't a lesson of heartbreak, just now it fades. It was supposed to be a way of like recognizing what you were dealing with and overcoming it and walking away from it, which is what the video was the girl leaves the relationship at the end. So we wanted this album to be like, yeah, we'll make it about this stuff, but it's going to be about lending perspective on the subjects rather than just reveling in the misery.
Sure. No, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And that's a really cool way to approach it. That is a really interesting way to approach it because like I kind of writing lyrics, I always go into it personally very I don't know if logical is the right way, but I always think of it in terms of like something that has happened because I don't know, and I don't have anything against bands like this, but bands who like write about government corruption. And I'm like, I'm not really that educated on this subject, so I kind of stay away from it.
We have one song.
Do you really?
Yeah, Broken Window.
Oh, is that what it's about?
So Broken Window is the title is based off the Overton window. Do you know what that is?
Overton window? No, I don't.
So it's basically I'll put it in like the simplest terms for anyone else who's watching. So it's like You look there, here's what is socially acceptable as like normal and okay.
Okay.
The window used to be here,
Okay.
and now it's like fucking way over here, and now it's just in the last 4 years just fucking shattered. So like the shit basically that like it was like these are things that like people are allowed to just think and do and say freely without any consequence, and people act like it's kind of like basically when people start comparing being a racist homophobic piece of shit and they try to call it a political opinion. That's what Broken Window's about. It's basically just illogical evil being masked as like a fair, like entitled stance or opinion you should be able to have, and how much it's just destroyed and ruining everything from like the planet to people's lives to like people in the, you know, the LGBTQT community to like all of that stuff. And that's pretty much what the song's about, was just like all, because I remember when I was writing, I was just like, I want to write about things like, and me and Chase really wrote that one together because I was like, we wanted to write about things that really make us feel. What makes you angry? Like Before I Go was like people who just like shit on us for no reason, even though we were doing really good things and doing really well. They wanted to make everybody like hate us anyways. And it was like, you know, Echoes from the Gutter was about like the toxic like attitudes in the music scene, where instead of helping each other, bands were always competing with each other and shitting on each other and just ruining the scene entirely, you know. And with Broken Window, it's like what just pisses me off. I'm like, what makes me just fume, like to the point where I just want to fucking like punch walls, like. And I was like, that's what I want to write about, and that's what me and Chase wrote about. And that song was just all of that shit. So that was like a super pissed off song, and it was that one song where it was a little political, but it wasn't, because the whole point of the song was that none of this shit should have anything to do with politics.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So it is, but it isn't. I mean, a lot
of
it
shouldn't, like, it shouldn't be politics. That we should probably pick an energy source that doesn't kill the planet we all live on. Like that shouldn't be a political conversation. That should just be fucking common sense. And that's the kind of stuff that we wanted to write about. Was like, this shouldn't be a polarizing subject. Right. Everything in that song we wrote about should not have two sides. Right. The entire planet should all be on the same side about everything we wrote about. And that was kind of the whole point. Was like this, like, how is this even a subject of controversy? Like, just fucking let it go. Like, this doesn't matter to this doesn't matter. Like people are suffering and it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was kind of what it was about. And like, otherwise, like, we're not Rage Against the Machine. Right. And like, you know.
See, it's like for me, like, there's so many like politicized issues that tend to all of a sudden become political, like abortion. Like, I don't know why that is a politicized thing when it should just be religion. Well, exactly. So, I mean,
but it shouldn't be political either. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. It's like
that's just weird. But what I was getting, I mean, I don't have anything against that. Like, if people want to do, I mean, like, hey, you write about your songs, whatever you want to do. Just for me personally, I just don't feel like equipped enough to like comment on, you know, like write a song about Watergate. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing though, is like, you know, some bands, their whole band is their outlet to share their thoughts on those subjects. Like, you know, Fever 333 is a good example. You know, they're very social injustice based, you know, and they're like, that band's a force of nature. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you hear that passion and that anger. And when you relate to it, that's what music is. And I think like it depends on how you're doing it and what you're going about and like why you're doing it. And I because I'm not a political band guy either. Like, I don't subscribe. Like, I don't like. Is it Straight from the Path I'm thinking of?
Yep, probably.
They're really a political, but I don't listen. Like, I don't like enjoy that kind of music. I might agree with or not agree with this and that message, but But yeah, it's like, you know, like the line in A Broken Window where it's like, shatter the horizon, rip the earth from the sky, is a metaphor for separating church and state. Okay. Like, it's supposed to be like, yo, it's like, sure. Like, Robbie's religious. Like, Robbie has a fucking cross necklace. He wears it in a lot of our promos. Like, but he's not but he doesn't hate gay people, and he doesn't like
not Westboro Baptist.
Opinions. Yeah, he doesn't force his opinions on everybody. He isn't anti-abortion. Like, he doesn't believe in all these arbitrary things that are in the fucking, like, no, that don't, that, you know, it's like, that's the whole point. It's like, be religious. Right. But your religion, like, my imaginary friend doesn't control what you do with your life, and yours doesn't control mine. Like, that's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, however you want to, however insensitive that may have sounded, Like, if I was going to tell you that I read a book and now I believe that this guy in the sky dictates my whole life, like, why the fuck should that affect you?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. And that was the whole point. It's like, believe whatever you want. That's great. That's why we live in America. But that's your belief and it's not my problem.
Exactly.
And that's how I feel about it. Like, and that's really what it is.
No, and I think that's a good way to put it. And like for me with a religion, I've always thought of it, because I'm not like a religious person or anything, but I've always thought the one thing about religion I've always really liked is that people use it as a way to cope with tragic events. Like a friend of mine, his aunt, their 3-year-old daughter passed away from brain cancer. I mean, horrible, and they're very religious people, and they relied on their church and their community and God and to really help them through that. And I think that is awesome. I mean, I think that is really what I feel religion is all about, is having that kind of medium to help you through struggle.
And I used to be religious, like when I was younger. I went to youth group and shit, and then like one day I woke up and I started poking holes in the plot, and I just like suddenly it didn't make sense to me anymore, and I walked away from it.
Did you watch VeggieTales?
Oh yeah. Fucking green beans. Let's go. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I remember, I still drive by, like, there's a church down the street from me, and like they have, like, right now they have a food bank set up for people who are having trouble during COVID, and like they have literally dudes out in the cold with signs with the free food signs, like, and I'm always just waving at them. Like, I mean, like there's good people everywhere, it's just like, but at the end of the day, it's just like it sucks because religion is just the source of so much like horrible shit in the world. Like, so much death, murder, and division is because of religion. It's because people can't just sit at home and worship their God in peace and not try to shove it into places it doesn't belong into other people's lives. And that's really what it is. It's like everyone should be entitled to their belief and their faith, and everyone should have it respected. But like, no one should have to give a shit about what anybody else believes. Right. If it doesn't it shouldn't impact anyone else's lives. And it definitely shouldn't impact the government. No, and that's that's it. That's all it is. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that should not be it shouldn't be a subject of controversy. That should be a very clear cut thing where it's like, yes, everyone believe exactly what you want to believe. And if you don't want to have an abortion, no one has to have an abortion if they don't want to. But you don't get to tell other people what they can't do. Exactly. And that's it. Yeah. And that's all it is. Yeah. And like, I don't understand why that has to be a fucking thing, And it's like,
And like gay marriage, like I'm heterosexual. Like and I mean this in the nicest way. Like, I don't care. I mean, like I don't care. Like, why would I care? And there's people who like care. And I'm like, what? Like, go like get a hobby, like form a metalcore band.
I just don't understand like how you wake up and you're like, bro, it's like you have like such a limited amount of time on this fucking planet, and you're gonna like go watch the entire Marvel universe. You're gonna get way more pleasure out of it than you are like yelling at gay people on Facebook. Like, I don't understand.
I always make the joke. I'm like, these people like people like that, or who are like very like into something weird. Like, no, I shouldn't say something weird, but like something that's just like so like doesn't affect your day-to-day life, but you take such a stand to go against it. I'm like, I always make the joke, like, they need to form a metalcore band because they'll have no time for that anymore.
I know. That's something you can always tell. I know I always say this. You can always tell that if someone's band isn't doing shit by how much they post on Facebook. Like, it's just it's like, it's always like the person with like the biggest fucking mouth who never shuts the fuck up. And I'm like, oh man, you guys aren't doing much these days, huh?
I think I know what you're talking about.
You got a little. You had a little too much time. No, but it's like, but it's just like I just I mean, why can't we all just like? And it sucks too because most of these people don't like if they just met each other face to face and just looked at each other like people. They'd see that how horrible what they're saying is because they'd see like. And that's what it is. It's like, and I think the internet has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely.
Granted, bigotry has always existed. Like, don't pretend, but it's like Facebook has given people a voice to basically, like, you can literally type a sentence and hit enter and walk away from your computer, and that action can destroy someone's life.
Yeah.
And that's what the internet has become. And it's like, and
very
that's where
bizarre.
and then you get into the controversy of cancel culture, which I'm not even going to talk about, because there's some people who think like, it's like, if you don't support cancel culture, it's because you support people who are bad. And it's like, it's not about that. It's like, I just feel like there's too much power in the voice of the internet, and it's gotten at like, and I think it's been used for a lot of good, but there's been collateral damage, and
Right.
people have been affected for life who
Exactly.
have done nothing wrong,
Yep.
and no one cares, because it's like there's got to be a fucking like, okay, if you're gonna like catch tuna, stop catching the dolphins and killing them too, it's like,
Yeah, well, it goes going back to what you're saying about, with social media. What I notice all the time too is that there tends to be, the minority with the largest voice who really like for example, you'll have on one side people wanting to, cancel a type of math because it's racist, and I'm like, really? Like, I mean, like, is this really like the hill you want to die on? Like, like, or from the other side, it's like, like abortions, or like, oh, what do they mean? Why do they gotta go use whatever bathroom they want? Or something like that. And it's like there's like these weird things where it's like these people die on this hill and they have a loud enough voice that it makes the opposing sides hate each other and use that example as the overarching symbolism for who
I
they are.
know. And then you have entire movements based around like, oh, I don't want trans people using the same bathroom. It's like, bro, you know what a unisex bathroom is? The bathroom in your house. Like, fucking get over it. Like, it's just
That's
like,
a great. I've never heard anybody say that. That's a great point. I mean, granted, you don't have strangers, but I get what you mean though. That's a
but
really good point.
there's a level of like logic that is just gone
Right.
on the internet. And it's
Yeah.
just like, it's like that basic. And what I've noticed is you can tell the people who genuinely care about an issue and want to be educated,
Right.
and the people who just want to find anything they
Right.
can to support their echo chamber,
Right.
and will
Right.
ignore anything that contradicts it, even if it's factual. And unfortunately, due to someone I'm not going to name,
Oh boy.
like over the past couple years, it's like, it is now, the Overton window has now shifted to the point where now, if like every expert on the fucking planet who studied something for 40 years tells you something's true, if you don't like it, you can just be like, it's not true. And that's
Yeah.
now a stance. And like, that is now what we're up against. And that is why the country's so divided. You know what I mean? It's like, because now it's like people can just basically look facts square in the face and be like, I don't like it. It's not
Yeah.
real.
Well,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I gotta say though, I mean, I'm watching this show called The Blacklist right now, which is all about like a lot of
great show.
Dude, I fucking love this show. So that show
I love how you just went into like geek mode. You're like, oh, you want to talk about James Spader?
Dude, that show though has made me. I'm like, what if everything is fake? I mean, what if? This show has made me kind of think like, what's going on? Is Fauci actually part of the cabal? What's going on here?
I know, and then you think of it, but then like it's funny, and then you just like listen to the dude in interviews, and it's just like, then you really think about it, and you see the press conference videos where he's just like standing there, and it's just like, then he's like, it's just this old dude, he's been doing his job his whole life, and then this fucking maniac comes along who's just like, yeah, no, I don't like that, and like he's just there just like, just fucking like, bro, it's like, I'm just trying to like say, like, stop this fucking virus and you won't let me, and like, I'm just too old for this shit, and like, what is happening? Like, and you just realize that it is what it is, and it's just like, dude, like the second people, this is not a good rabbit hole to go down, because like the second you start doubting scientists like at that level, shit gets like sci-fi movie scary.
Yeah, and it's what's so weird to me too, and it's like kind of like a kind of like a hindsight, right? But I'm like now that we started like wearing masks, in a day-to-day life, I'm like, why weren't we doing this before? Like, if I got the cold,
I totally agree, dude. This is the first winter I didn't get a cold at all.
Dude, I usually get that sick. You know, like that one time a year you get like really sick.
Yeah,
That didn't
every
happen.
year.
Didn't happen.
No, I didn't know. And it's like, and it's just made me think how every time I've flown on a plane, I've gotten sick. And I used to fucking like be like, man, these Chinese people wearing masks everywhere are weird. I'm like, no, they're just fucking smarter than us.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, and it's like, I will be wearing a mask like every time I fly, probably for the rest of my life, because I've gotten sick every time I've been on a plane.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like I was already, I mean, I already like, there's some things, there's a lot of things about masks that I love. Like, it's like,
Well,
no one can tell how much I hate them when I'm talking to them.
dude,
Like, no one
I
can
have to be honest,
tell.
yeah. I
No one,
love like there's
like,
like
I'm
the
at work just like, have a nice
yeah.
day.
Motherfucker.
Like, it's just like,
Motherfucker. You know,
it's like you motherfucker. Like, but and it's like people aren't fucking breathing on me and standing near me. I mean, some people are because they're idiots and don't give a fuck, but like,
right.
it's just like, I don't like, it's like, yeah, like back the fuck up.
Well,
Like,
going back to your bathroom example, I always say, like, you know, there's people who get mad about wearing a mask in Walmart, and I'm like, listen, if Walmart tells me to wear them, I'll wear the mask. Like, and I wear the mask anyway, but I'm not going to be like throwing a hissy fit. But I'm like, they tell you to wear a shirt, you wear a shirt in there. What's the difference?
well, I think, yeah, don't even get me started as some, okay, here's like, I don't get to bitch about this on the internet because like I usually like to separate. I don't shit where I eat, and I keep like work and the band and all that separate. But like as someone who works in a retail environment, the fucking cognitive dissonance that I have to witness on a daily basis over the mask thing, you don't even know. Like, it's
Right.
just like it's like they really don't get that, like, they don't need to be at the mall. They don't need to be shopping. They don't
Right.
need to be anywhere. It's not like
Do or
they
die.
really
Yeah.
think that they're entitled to be able to go wherever they want, do whatever they want in anybody's business or place of business, and that they shouldn't have to follow. It's like that, like they just want like it's, I literally had one dude just like walk straight into the fucking store and he's like not wearing a mask, and I'm like, bro, can you put your mask on? He's like, I have a health condition. I'm like, is it that you can't fucking read because there's a sign that says you have to wear a mask? And it's just like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like, and I'm like, I literally have face shields, like plastic face shields, because I have them just in case someone really can't wear a mask. He's like,
Right.
oh, my doctor says I can't wear a mask. I'm like, did your doctor tell you with your high risk condition to go fucking shopping at the mall? Like, go shop online, you idiot. Like, it's like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I don't have to wear a mask. So my doctor recommended that I go expose myself and walk around like a fucking plague rat. Like, it's just like, and then the dude, like, you're discriminating against people with medical conditions. And I was like, dude, I tried to give you a face shield. Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, you just want to be a piece of shit. I don't care. Like, it's just ridiculous.
And it's funny because you have that end, but then then there are other people who like there's a it's weird, man, because it's like there's a part of it where it's like people like won't wear one, they'll take a stand, and then there's also the end where it's like the people will never tell you to take off the mask. Like me personally, right? Like if I walk through Walmart without a mask, I think I'd be okay, but why not just wear the goddamn thing and be, you know, just
Well, no, and it's like people think because they're bored of the pandemic that it's just over for them. Like, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's still here. Like, you don't get to just decide to be bored of it. It's like these people in like grocery stores and all this shit, like they have to be at work.
right.
And like their safety hinges on you following these things. And it's like, if there's a 1% chance that you just, like, you don't need to be at the mall. So if you really gotta go get something that you're gonna fucking die without, can you just follow the policy for the 5 minutes you're in there? And if you're, and like people get pissed, I was like, oh, I can't bring my drink in here and I can't drink my drink. And it's like, no, because it's not a fucking lounge. We're in a pandemic. People are dying by the thousands. Like, buy your fucking pants and go home. Like, like you don't need to have your coffee and sip it around and hang out. Like, it's just like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like, I don't
just,
even.
It's very bizarre.
I have a medical condition. Sweet. It's called Zoomies.com.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
It's a very, I don't know, man.
But at the same time, it's like, hey, if you want to be a plague rat, go be one out there. But like in the walls, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, whatever you think, whatever you believe, whatever your excuse is, whatever your reasoning is, whatever your logic or lack thereof is, if you go into someone else's fucking business, you don't get a choice. Right. You want to be in here, you play by the rules. So if you're gonna go in here, this is the rules of the establishment. Right. I don't care what you think your rights are; they don't matter to me. Like, it's like if you want to be in here, you're not breathing all over my whole staff. That's what you're gonna do. So it's like, come, take it or leave it. Like, you have two choices, and neither of them are you coming in here without your mask on. Like, I don't know why that's so hard. And it's grown adults all the time doing this shit. Like, I'm like, you pay taxes, you breed, you reproduce, which is terrifying, but you can't grasp, like it's easier to potty train a 2-year-old than to get these fucking 40-year-old like idiots to just
throw on a goddamn.
Just go buy her shit and go home. Like, I don't know.
I mean, listen, I've always wanted to sit in a Buffalo Wild Wings naked, but I'm not allowed. You know, I mean, that's just the way that it is.
And they're like, well, I have the right, and I'm an American, and this is discrimination because I can't be naked in Buffalo Wild Wings. And that is the argument I get on a daily basis on why they shouldn't have to wear a mask.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I just try to think of stuff logically. Like, on one hand, I think I'd be fine, but I'm gonna wear it because it's just the right thing to do. My girlfriend is immunocompromised. Like, I'm not just gonna be like, I'm not gonna like storm the Capitol building, you know, like, I got a goddamn right to do this, you know. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, but then at the same time, though, do you think that there's gonna come a time when they say, okay, now's the day, you can take off the masks if you want, go ahead? Because I've always thought about that. I'm like, is that ever gonna come, or is it just gonna kind of be like it whittles away and there's going to be still people who will wear? I mean, what do you think? I mean,
I think I've learned the value of them, and I'm probably gonna I'll probably carry one with me for the rest of my life everywhere I go.
Me too.
I think it's gonna be whittled away, and I think mainly because of the same reason we're still in the pandemic now, is that we can only walk as fast as our society's slowest person, and unfortunately, the slowest people can't just fucking get it together and like come together, stop breaking the fucking rules, and beat this thing.
Right.
So we can go back to normal. And that's what it's like. If everybody could just like, if we didn't have like 40% of the country believing conspiracy theories, we might have shows back by now. And it's just like, and granted, a lot of it has to do with like rolling out the vaccine. And then you have like, but it's like, I mean, I don't know, man. I think that question will be answered by how resistant people are to like getting vaccinated and just because it's like ultimately like more people than not have to be like vaccinated for this to actually work,
right?
Because it has to be an accumulative thing. So it's like, if you have like, you know, I still know like people who are like dipshits who won't get the flu shot, like, you know, so it's like, I don't really know, but I mean, luckily enough people get the flu shot that like we're good, but people still get the flu.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and then people are like, well, I got the flu shot and then I got the flu anyways. And so now I don't get it. And I'm like, sweet. So you realize that because you didn't get it, now the regular flu can gestate inside you and evolve until it's too strong for the people who have the flu shot, and then they can still get it. But it's like, oh, you don't know that because you don't care, because you didn't read about it. You just thought you were smart because you read something on fucking YouTube or something. You know, it's like, that's the shit. And like, as long as we're dealing with that, dude, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it's just like, and I don't know everything, but I know like, but the fact that like basic common sense eludes most people doesn't give me a whole lot of optimism. And I think that's where I think it's going to be a whittled away thing, where slowly over time, people will kind of come around and shit will start to come back. And I think you'll still get people getting sick here and there, but hopefully it's really hard. I think it just depends on how many people like rally together to just be human beings and just do this thing.
Yeah, and by the way, we should preface this: neither Tyler or I are scientists. I mean, we're not, you know. So this is all just, you know, speculation. I mean, maybe Tyler does double as a scientist that I'm not aware of. I mean, maybe.
No. This is why I stopped posting Facebook statuses about this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not trying to like, because like everyone who doesn't like something I say is going to argue with me for 4 hours, whether they know what they're talking about or not.
Right.
So it's like, and I don't talk, but it's like, I can just say from someone who's just like not gotten COVID.
I haven't either. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I follow the rules and I'm safe and I don't fuck around with it and I don't hang out with a bunch of people. And I know plenty of people who have. I just lost a family member who got it like last week. It's like, it's not
real. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's not made up. It's just like, and that's the thing. It's like, I think a lot of people think like, because a couple people got it and it wasn't that bad, that it's just not that bad.
Well,
And I think that's a lot
yeah.
of it too. But it doesn't really matter. I think for me, it's just like, how much do you care about your fellow man, and how much do you care about just having life go back to normal? And like, what are you willing to sacrifice for the maybe small chance that it works and things go back to normal? Like, because I mean, obviously it's been a year now, it hasn't ended, so it's whatever you're doing isn't working. So maybe let's try, just give, like, maybe you don't like it, maybe it works. I just want to play a fucking show, so just wear a fucking mask.
Absolutely. Yeah, this
Like,
this
I think
this
that's where us is
boils
all.
down
This is
to.
where this is all going.
Yeah,
Like,
this is where this all boils down to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like who, like, you're in the pandemic whether you like it or not. So it's like, who cares?
That's what I mean. I'm like, it's like we're here. It's like we're here. It's like I like look at like it's like you have a hand of cards. This is the hand that we're dealt with. Why not just try to fucking win the hand? I mean, like, seriously. I mean, like, it's just
no. I don't. I mean, like, we're like, what has not wearing a mask accomplished?
Well, exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, nothing. I mean, like, just the resistance or whatever. I guess.
It's like, like, I'm standing up against oppression. I'm like, bro, it's like, and then you have like white people using the word oppression, which is just a whole other fucking like,
dude. It just goes like
the window.
I just
It's the fucking window, dude.
I just don't know why people just can't be more of the mindset. If they're like, listen, I'm 28, but I'm saying, for example, I'm a 25-year-old guy. If I got COVID, I'd probably be okay. But like, that's not the same for everybody else. So why not just wear the mask in Walmart and shut the fuck up?
I mean, Caleb from No Scene like had it, doesn't have it anymore, and like it's been weeks now, and he still can't smell it. He still has a sense of smell back.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
I've heard that is like one of the very lingering side effects.
Like, I don't want to. Do you want to, like? Okay, yeah, you might be fine, but you might never fucking taste or smell anything again. Is that really worth you dying on the hill? Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, maybe like one of us gets it and we get lung damage and we can never perform again. That's what I think about all the time.
Yeah. Oh.
Like Robbie's partner works in a hospital, and like, no, they're telling there's some people who are asymptomatic that don't have any symptoms, and their lungs are just getting like
annihilated,
and they don't even know it. It's like that's the shit. It's like, if there's a 1% chance it's gonna happen, I'm gonna bank on the 1%, not the 99, not the other. Like, I'm gonna like,
it's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk, man. It's like this will pass.
Right.
And I want to pass without COVID. Like,
right. And thankfully we're in good areas. I mean, compared to other states, in terms of cases,
like Texas,
especially you. I don't think anybody's had COVID in Vermont since October. No, I'm kidding, obviously, but it's it's very good.
We had really good numbers, but the problem is like every time there's like a Halloween or New Year's, a bunch of morons get COVID.
True.
People can't not have parties. Like, it's like, they can't.
I've always said that Burlington, because I got all my tattoos were done in Burlington, and I've always said
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where you go?
Moose Tattoo. Oh, well, Moose Tattoos is the name of it. Yeah, I think that's the name of his shop. So they might have changed it, but I believe it's called Moose Tattoos. It's down near, like, I always call it. There's like this red coffee house, and it's like right above that, like down towards near the end of Church Street. It's like,
I'm like blown away that I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's like, okay, so like if you're walking south on Church Street, to your left, there's like this restaurant that is like, there was outdoor seating, and then there's like a patio seating area that's closed in, and then it's also it's across from like a big white church looking kind of building on the right.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I just didn't know. I don't know how I didn't hear of Moose Tattoo, but no, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go there, and I've always said that Burlington, man, looks like it looks like a time capsule of the 1970s. I mean, that's like literally like everybody's wearing like flannels and everything, and
everything in Vermont is like old.
Yeah, it's like so interesting. It's like
Bernie.
It's like such a blast from the past, but. Listen, man, I've had a really great time talking to you, but I do want to get you out on one other thing, because you brought up conspiracy theories, and I always like a good conspiracy theory. What is like one conspiracy theory that you're like, oh, fuck yeah, that's true?
I mean, I don't really believe any conspiracy theories because
Really?
I
Oh,
like to
okay.
think I'm above that. But
Okay.
I mean, if this counts as a conspiracy theory, I 100% believe that like the government knows about UFOs and aliens.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, dude. Okay, so I'll give you a guy if you want to get down that rabbit hole a little bit more that you can kind of look into. Bob Lazar. Have you ever heard of this man?
No, but send me the
Dude,
link.
dude.
But no, like I think that it's more so like that's like I feel like not like so I'm a very factual like
Yes.
person like with
Yep.
everything, and I feel like that's like how I try. I like that's who you have to be, especially with like any landscape. But it's like I don't need proof of aliens to know that the odds of them not being real are so
Sure.
astronomical
Yep.
that it's just like it's kind of like having a cup full of water and just being like, yeah, there's no way anything lives in the ocean because
Right.
there's nothing in this cup.
Right.
And it's like but yeah, I mean, there's just like too much for none of it to be true.
Well, exactly. And so I'll give you the cliff notes on this guy, and I'll send you this stuff. But essentially, this guy, he's a scientist who was back in like the 80s was recruited to go work at this site near Area 51. Is it Area 51 or Area 52? Area
Yeah,
52.
I used to live in Las Vegas. That's where my old band was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll DM you about this, but I actually have some stories from a dude who's a firefighter at Area 51. I can tell you.
Really? Okay. Yeah. No, that'd be really cool. But this guy, he used to work there at like a site near called S4, and he was recruited, he says, to back engineer like crafts that the government had discovered that they have no idea what they are. And he goes into a lot of detail about it. He's one of those guys that like a very consistent story for like 30 years at this point. He said that the crafts were powered by an element 115, which was officially discovered in 2013. I mean, it's very believable shit. I mean, a lot of people say he's full of shit, but I believe him. Like I believe him, and I think that if you're interested in that sort of, that's the guy that I would direct you towards. Because like for me, I really believe JFK was killed by the government. That is one that I'm like sold on.
Yeah, I guess. See, I don't think. See, I guess to me that doesn't set that for me that doesn't. I don't know if I guess it doesn't count as a conspiracy theory because it just feels like it has to be true. Like every time someone goes into the presidency who actually wants to do good things, something bad happens.
Exactly. No. So yeah. So I will preface it by saying like because I think when people hear conspiracy theory, they think like,
QAnon.
Katy Perry is that girl John Benet Ramsey who was killed in Colorado.
Well, I think of like
exactly.
I think of like QAnon and like chemtrails and fucking like
5G.
the pandemic and there's microchips in the vaccine and like.
See, the thing with QAnon, man, is that it's like, for as crazy as those motherfuckers are, and they're fucking batshit crazy, there's like probably somewhere in there like 0.0001% of truth that will never be discovered because they're all fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like
it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I don't know if there's a bunch of skeletons outside Epstein's island, but I know Jeffrey Epstein did all of this shit. The fucked up thing about shit like that is everyone knows it,
right?
But if the government won't do anything about it, it's really fucking weird.
It's because I mean, there's a lot of things with him, like he was like a CI and stuff, like a confidential informant, and like it's crazy, man. Because that guy Alex Jones, who I'm sure you're aware of.
That dude is crazy.
Yeah, well, he's another guy. He's crazy. But like he had the information on Epstein years ago and nobody gave it any credence because he says crazy shit like Sandy Hook was all crisis actors. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like when you cry bullshit, no one's going to believe you when you actually say something true. And the problem with all these fucking whack jobs is like they'll cling to the one time they were right about something as if it justifies the 50 times they were wrong.
That's very true.
And it's like, and that's like our political climate right now.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like, like how many fucking times it's like the Hillary's email thing. It's like no one cares about fucking Hillary Clinton, bro. Like we're like in like an election 4 years later, and people are like, well, what about Hillary? Well, what about Obama? It's like no one gives a fuck about them. They're not here. Like they're not. Like it's like people wearing Trump flags. Trump's not the president. He's gone. Like he's not a politician. He never was. Like he's gone. Like it's not relevant anymore. Like who gives a fuck?
You
Like
think
stop
coming
bringing
back
up
in 4 years? You think
it's
he's
like
gonna
stop
make a
bringing
comeback?
I know it's oh god, I don't even dude. Don't just don't.
He's
Like, I
coming
just
back.
can't.
The Patriot Party.
I
Tyler
already saw
coming back.
I'm not I already lived through the Empire. I'm not ready for the First Order. Like like I'm just but it's like dude, it's like but it's like get over it. Like I've never in my life seen anyone flying a flag of someone who wasn't the president anymore. But I do now.
Dude,
It's just weird. It's like that's not normal behavior. I don't care what side you're on. Like it's just like it's weird. It's just weird. It's weird times we live in.
yep.
And it's fucking there's a disconnect.
Yep.
And it's scary. Like
Dude, I know I'll let you get out of here, but I was just gonna say, like when Trump was first starting to come around, man, I was like, this is fucking insane. Like, but like for like a television like point of view, I was like, this is like, I mean, he was up there telling Jeb Bush that his brother killed. I was like, what?
yeah, when he was dude, when he was like making fun of the disabled guy, I was like, well, it's over now. And then like little did I know, like, oh, that wasn't the first thing or the last thing he was going to get away with that would have ruined anybody else's career. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So that's the problem, because I think somebody like Trump, without all the bullshit, like without all the like the really like the bad shit, like, you know, making fun of the disabled person, and just all the like a guy like that, if you had like a person who was, it might be difficult to be normal and also kind of be like that kind of poignant with your message, but if there was somebody like that, that's what will really rock the boat, I think. But when you're a fucking jackass the other 98% of the time,
Yeah,
your message gets it's gone.
yeah, and I think like, and I say this like, I'm careful choosing my words here. Like, I could almost see if it wasn't for like the obvious, like relentless, psychotic, moronic shit that he was pulling every day.
Yep.
I could almost see how a susceptible conservative could maybe rally behind his like not being afraid to just, yeah, like this,
Yeah.
and we care about this, so fuck yeah, we want to do this, and like. And to some end, like if I was gullible, I could totally understand that.
Right.
But like, I don't understand how anybody with like an average IQ watched all of that shit and was like, I'm still in. Like I'm still here for it. Like I just don't. And I don't really care who knows that. Like
no, well, he's like a WWE guy. I mean, like he's literally like a wrestler, like that. Like he's just like, it's just like this weird. And like my thing with him, man, I was like, man,
and like Biden's a meme too. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like there's plenty of shit about that where it's just like, holy shit, like it's like
smelling people and whatever,
like this is what we got now too. But it's like, I think the fact that like as awful as that is, that it seemed so good and relieving compared to the last thing just tells you about the bigger picture.
Yeah, no,
and we can just leave it at that. You know, it's like, and without, I don't want to get all like political and like.
No, I know.
But yeah, but you know,
but yeah,
it's just weird. It's just, I just never thought in my life I would be living in America and be watching Star Wars and be like, holy shit, like this is what the Empire, this is how it started. Holy fuck, I'm the rebels. That sucks. Like I was just like, it's cool when they're like the heroes. It's bad when you realize that they're like the rebels were terrorists. Like if I rebel against the Empire, I'm a terrorist. Like Trump's the Empire. This is exactly like Star Wars. Like what the fuck? Like that was what was going through my head. I'm watching movies that have been like trying to educate me on these dynamics my whole life, but I never really got it until I was seeing it firsthand in my own like backyard when I'm just like, I'm watching like The Mandalorian and the guy's just like, people want order, and he's just like, long live the Empire. And then like, I'm just like, bro, this dude, I'm just like in my head, I just see the magic hat just like like on his head, like, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is like George Lucas knew, like, it's like, it's like,
dude, yeah,
it's weird.
It's crazy, man. I always chalk these conversations up to the human experience, because what I've always said, I'm like, man, these past, whatever you want to say, 4 or 5 years at this point have been the ultimate people watching experiences. I mean, it's like, it has just been,
it's been objectively absurd.
yes, like, it's like, if this were a television show, it would draw ratings, but it's real life,
No, and that's what I'm saying, dude, is like, it literally got to, I knew shit was crazy when it got to a point where I couldn't tell Onion articles from real news anymore. and I'm not joking. Like, when I say that, like, I genuinely would see a headline and be like, oh, this is a satirical article. Right. And it would be like, oh no, Trump's actually said that. And like, it's like, and like 5 minutes later, and I'm just like, what? And then I'm supposed to take that and try to like reserve myself to a point where I respect it like it's some kind of normal opinion to believe. And that was where like I'm at, where it was just like, that was where it's been the past couple of years, where I was just like, I don't even know what I'm seeing anymore. And it sucks because like some of the best years of my life with a saving advice were like during the first couple of years of all that, because I kind of just tuned it all out because I like didn't know what to do. And then I just found myself becoming more and more aware and educated, and there's all the riots and everything and all the stuff that happened and the Black Lives Matter movement. And then like I kind of realized how like coddled I was by the fact that like I was able to ignore it.
Right.
And then I kind of started and then I like got really scared about like, and I was like, man, like I'm so comfortable because like I'm not the people on the other end of this.
You're a white dude in Vermont, man.
Yeah. So it's like, and then it kind of made me, and then it just made me more angry once I realized that I started putting myself in the people's shoes who are really hurt by what's been going on. And then it really made me feel like it's like I can't just respect the shit as another opinion anymore because it's hurting people.
Right.
It's hurting. And then that was kind of what, and I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know what's going to happen next. I hope it's better. I mean, I don't really trust that it will be, but like, yeah, it's just like, it's a mess. And like, I hope that, I hope that everybody can just at some point wake up to what matters and put the like stupid shit aside so we can all just kind of like be people.
Right. And listen, man, I think that's a great way to kind of end this podcast here. This was awesome, man. And listen, I think with all that being said, a lot of people will interpret it as political, but what I really think it is that what I like to believe it all ties into is that we all come from different, there's different ways to skin a cat, right? We all come from different like areas of the world, different areas of the country. But I think that if we just spent more time kind of learning, because I mean, I'm ignorant to a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm a white dude from New Hampshire, like I understand, like I'm very ignorant to a lot of stuff that I know that I need to be more educated on. Like, for example, like,
but knowing that and saying that is like the biggest step forward to anything. And that's, I think, it's a huge.
You're right. And I think that if a lot of people were more like that, I mean, listen, there's going to always be outliers. There's going to be crazy, wacky, wackadoodle shit on both sides. But just basic, fundamental, just, because like I don't know a lot of stuff about the non-binary community. I'm very ignorant. I just don't know. I mean, but I would love to learn, but I don't know. And I think that if a lot more people, are kind of like you as well, like realizing like, okay, this is my situation. But what about a Mexican person from Arizona? What's their life like? Something like that. And I think that's kind of how it all ties back in. And I think that's why our scene is awesome, because I like to believe a lot of people accept each other. I mean, I'm sure there's obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's really big voices in our scene for like unity, and like I feel like there's no tolerance for the bad shit, and I do believe that, and we've seen that over the pandemic. A lot of people have gotten called to account, and
one of them featured on one of our songs, so I know it all too well.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna bring that up when you dropped his name earlier because I didn't want to but yeah, that was rough. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like I think that things are I think a lot of people have been educated and woken up to all this. I mean, like one of the reasons I'm on like meds for anxiety and depression now, like I just started recently, was because like I was in this weird point after all this time where like I was at this point where I literally was like loathing the fact that I like had things because I couldn't stop thinking about all of these people in the world and like people who are like in worse situations than me in the country were just like these people are scraping by and just trying to live and exist and getting shit on and being like marginalized and all this shit. And then it was just like I started to feel just like anxious about just like, oh man, like really putting myself in that position in my head of like being like, I don't really know what that's like. Like I will never understand what that's like to just live in a perpetual fight or flight situation because of the color of my skin or because of like where I was born or all this stuff. And it was just like, it's like, I think that it's an awareness that ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And I think that like a lot of people don't want to be awakened to that because it's going to pop their little bubble, and it does pop your bubble and it sucks.
Yeah.
But I feel like it makes you it's like this veil gets lifted. I don't know, but I think I'm better for it as much as like it's really put things in perspective for me, recently. And I used to consider myself an ally to like all of these causes, and like I didn't even realize how much I didn't know until like maybe the last year or so.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, a lot of stuff because just the way that I grew up with drug addicts and everything, I used to think people were scumbag. I mean, like so, like any shred of like I was preconditioned to think that if somebody's on welfare, they're a scumbag. I mean, that's just kind of how I.
No, it's like, and it's like and that's all part of just like it's just America. Like it's just how it's like how things are viewed to us, and it's cool. I think what's cool is that the music, especially the music community that we're in, I feel like has a very strong voice for bringing all that stuff to light.
Yep.
And like making people aware of it and making people accountable. And like, I think what's cool is like, obviously gatekeeping sucks, but it's cool. And granted, I do think cancel culture, I think that there's people who get shot in the crossfire.
Yep.
Didn't deserve it. And there's people who get their lives ruined who maybe shouldn't have. And I think it goes too far. And I think a lot of the people who engage in it are just vultures looking, who have skeletons in their closet, who are just looking to pick someone else's bones.
100%.
But having said that, I think that like it has made a community where like people who are not willing to be educated cannot be allowed to thrive and aren't allowed to be a part of it. And I think that's good. Yeah. And it's like, you either grow the fuck up or you're not going to play a show. Like,
no,
it's cool.
I totally agree. And it's one of those things, man, where I think that's important. I think for me, one of the things that I kind of see and that I kind of, I guess, struggle with is when people kind of, stop listening to a band because of a member being bad. And that's something that I think about a lot. And that's maybe another topic
no, and that probably is another topic, but I understand what you're saying. Like, it would suck for like, like what goes into being in a band. Yeah. Like that whole band put that sacrifice to everything to put everything into this band. And then, maybe they had no idea. And that one member did something, and now that whole band's career, everything that they worked for is ruined because everyone condemns all of them. Yeah. And along with it, and it's just like, don't make the whole band suffer for the actions of one person, and it's like, but even then, and then within reason, people fuck up. Like almost every, like I've seen like 4 people who are like leading holding the torches last year in the cancel culture shit got canceled this year. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
gonna
just
come
like
from them too. I mean,
it's just like, so it's like, if you just shut the fuck up and just be better and stop trying to destroy everybody else. Like, and like, everyone's got something. It's like hold people to account, but like, don't make a sport out of it.
Exactly. I mean, and again, I think the other thing too, just in case there's ever the troll who stumbles across. Of course, if somebody's raping people, that's a little different. I mean, that's
yeah. Like, but I mean, like, it's like people are gonna like, you quoted super bad word for word 10 years ago. Like, you shouldn't go down for that. Like, that was like normal. You know what I mean? It was just like you were conditioned to think that shit was normal. Like, I mean, I rewatch movies now where I'm like, bro, like, I can't believe that. Like, I hear it, like, you hear things now, and it's like, I'm like, I can't believe, like, this was like a movie I was like, totally didn't even think about it back then. Like,
dude, I came across, I don't know if it was MySpace, but it was a while ago, and, like, and listen, if I had a Twitter account when I was in 7th grade, holy shit, I'd be fucked today. Let me tell you, because I mean, like, we all use the joke like that's gay, or like,
yeah. Oh no, I've seen Facebook statuses where, like, from like 11 years ago, where I was just something where I was just like, dude, like, you don't even fucking know what you don't know. Like, I'm just like, like, what were you like? And the worst part is a lot of the times it's shit that, like, you didn't even realize what it meant.
Right.
Like, where it was like, you didn't mean, like, you didn't feel the way, like, you didn't feel negatively towards anyone, but you were using a word that meant something else to you, but you didn't understand the weight and the gravity it had on other people.
Right.
And, like, I remember I made a Facebook status about this like 5 years ago, I think, where I literally was like, look, like, there's a lot of shit that I've said. Like, I used to throw words around
100%.
all the time. And to me, they never had anything to do with that community or that thing, but it was just a word that got used because it was a derogatory term for something else. And then one day I finally like clicked, and I finally understood what it really meant when those people heard that word. And I was just like, and now I hear it, and it cuts through my ears like daggers when I hear the word. And it's like, you have to like educate yourself and like train yourself to know it.
Yep.
And I think that's something that people should be not so afraid of.
Yeah.
Because, like, people aren't going to get better. And, like, I think what's frustrating is when people, like, I feel like, people are on this whole train of, like, we want to educate people and make them learn and make them be better. But then they turn right around and they don't want to give anybody the chance to be educated either.
Yeah,
and I think
that is a problem, because I think some people probably feel like they can't. Like, if I walked into a room, like, I will admit that there's sometimes where I kind of feel like maybe I'll be looked at in a negative way because I'm trying to be educated, but some people may take that in a derogatory way. Maybe that's just my own thing, but I'm always open to be educated. Like, if people want to educate me on something, man, that like affects them in their day-to-day life, dude, I'm all ears. Like, I'm down to listen to it. I don't know. So it's like, but I think that there is a section of people, like you're saying, that will put you down if you don't know, like, proper pronouns or stuff like that, that for me, it doesn't affect my everyday life because it's just nothing that you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to word it, but
I think the people that we're talking about too, though, are the people who aren't the marginalized people. They aren't the people on the end of it. They're the people who are trying to be the voice of the canceling. That aren't actually the victims.
Right.
Because most of the time, in my experience, the people who are actually like affected by these words and these actions are always completely happy to educate you and be glad that you're understanding and on their side now.
Right.
It's the people who like are out there to try to look like they're standing for them and want to just be the heroes on the internet.
Like the white dudes,
they're the ones with the biggest torches. Dude, it's like, and they're also usually the ones that also did the same fucking thing behind closed doors.
Right.
And it's just like, don't throw stones. And it's just like, fucking throw flowers, bro.
I like that
hippie shit. Like, let's go.
Yeah, you're from Vermont, man. You gotta throw flowers. And
so we keep trying to wrap it up.
No, it's fine, man. I think this is all good stuff because these types of conversations, especially with the pandemic, they don't happen in everyday life. I mean, they just don't. So it's really nice to kind of have these like real conversations, intertwined with Vermont metalcore. I think it's always a good thing that happens. And no, man, I'm this is the first time we've ever spoke, so this is pretty cool. I mean, and we just kind of talked seamlessly.
Yeah, I feel like for some reason in my brain it felt like we've talked so many times because I've watched you react to so many of our music videos that like when you're like talking about me to the video and like I feel like I'm like when
He's
I
talking
like
to me.
my brain like I just realized during this I was like this is the first time
Yeah,
I've heard your voice speak to me like to me
yeah,
ever. It's weird.
yeah.
I've like watched you talk at me on video.
It's always been a one-way street, but
Yeah, no, it was good, man. This is really fun, and I hope that no one watching this like obviously like took anything the wrong way or offended like or was offended by anything. But you know, it's like I usually try to avoid like those subjects, but I think it's important. I feel like avoiding the subjects is like a privilege.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that we finally got to talk. I know that you do Vice streams every now and again. Over on the Saving Vice. It's on the Saving Vice Instagram, right?
Yeah. We have like a pretty big, like I would say big, probably one of the biggest, coolest ones we've had yet lined up for the next one or two. I've just been waiting to nail down dates, but I'd love to get you on there too soon.
Yeah, man, I'd love to do it. I know that we've talked about a lot of subjects here, so it's kind of like, if I go on yours next, you're like, oh man, what the fuck can I talk to him about? Now we've already talked about everything, but nah, man.
Well, Vice Streams is really laid back. We could talk about what your favorite eating utensil is for all I care. It's like it's supposed to be like show up in your pajama pants. I don't give a fuck. It's supposed to be chill. Well, it was kind of started as like, what are people doing during the pandemic, like in bands?
Right.
It was like, oh, I'm in a tent. I lived in the van. Now I'm in a tent. Like, like whatever. Like,
yeah. It's like the informality of it is what's really cool. I think that's cool. It's like, because it's not like a super like, all right, now live from the studio is Vice Streams,
and that's exactly what I went for. And I was also telling the guys, I was like, bro, like I don't want to do a podcast like. Yeah. If this can't be casual, I don't really care about doing it. Like I want it to just be like no expectations. Also, it's live. There's no editing it. There's no like.
Oh, I don't edit things at all. I just
well, you know what I'm saying, but it's like a lot of you can't whatever you say or do, it's out there. So you just keep it chill, keep it light. Like I think it's cool for people to see all of the like everyone in their element, just like how are these dudes, how are these guys these bands that I love, like what are they doing to survive, like how are they existing right now in like their everyday life? It's I got like Brian from Currents, his girlfriend's walking around in the back and he's just like in his living room talking to me. Like I think that's cool. But yeah, like you said, I'm really glad you said that, the informality of it, because like that was what I wanted like it to be so informal. I wanted that to be what people remembered about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And listen, for anybody listening, you've got to check out Saving Vice if you haven't. If you're really into I hate to say the rise core stuff because that's not what it is, but I mean that's like the easiest quick word. But listen, if you like, let me think of how to describe Saving Vice, because you guys do a lot of different sounds, so it's very hard to pin it down into.
I feel like what we've kind of tried to from like one spectrum to the other. It's like if like Bring Me the Horizon and like Motionless and White and like Asking Alexandria and Linkin Park had a weird baby, but the baby like grew up in Tom Barber's basement. Like, it's like
kidnapped by Tom Barber.
Yeah.
I like that's a great. Okay, I like that. There's if you want to listen to a Seinfeld core song by Saving Vice, so check out The Spire, which is off their Binary EP. And listen, man, it was awesome to talk to you. Like I said, I've never talked to you before. Never played a show together. I mean, nothing. So this was really cool that we kind of went off, because I with these podcasts, man, I like to just go until if it's too late.
I'm a talker, man. Like I could go. Yeah, like it's 11:30. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for taking the time, and I look forward to what's next for Saving Vice, and hopefully we can make that Palladium show up here in the nearest of futures.
I mean, people are acting like shows are coming, so like hopefully we'll see.
Well, 1 week they're coming back in September, and the next week we're never going to see one again. So
I mean, I'm not in any rush because I haven't practiced in a year, so
straight up, dude. Like I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta sing these songs eventually.
I know the last time we played 10 songs. Like I'll be lucky if I get through 4 right now.
That's a great point. All right, well, we better start practicing. But anyways,
I'm gonna start right now.
Yeah. Anyways, Tyler Small, everybody, thank you so much, man. Take care.
It was a pleasure.
No problem. I look forward to being on Vice streams.
No, absolutely. I'll hit you up and send me the link to that dude about the aliens.
Dude.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
See you later, buddy.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the TrueShot Guest Spot Podcast. If you'd like to support us, a few ways you can do so. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you get notified when we release new reaction videos, new music, or new podcasts. If you're on Apple Music, leave us a 5-star review and share us with a friend. If you're on Spotify, share us with a friend as well. Maybe share it on an Instagram story. Tag me. Tag Tyler, tag somebody random, just to have them be like, what is going on here? And then they'll be like, what is this podcast? I gotta check it out. And they go over and they check it out, they have a good time as well. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and until the next one, we'll see you later. Peace.